Come through, fam. We quarantined. And we chill. And I'm here with all you knuckleheads on this Wednesday morning for some of you, Wednesday afternoon for others. And finally you get to see me. Been a long time, as you can see. I'm in a redecorated GOP cave. You know, there is where the Blu-ray shelves are going to be going. There is where the TV is going to be going. But yeah, it's still a work in progress. You can see my books, comics and books in the corner there. Hello, Dark Claw. Hello, however you pronounce this name. Yo. Dark Claw. Let's see. Richard Richardson. Captain Athens. Lots of new people in here, I'm sure. Subscribe if you haven't already. Click like because you know I'm right and all that. So yeah, Man of Steel. I think I'll close the window. Give me a minute. Those goddamn bumblebees. Why is the volume so low? I don't know. You tell me. Is the volume low, guys? Let me know. Hello, Doom Guy. He says, fellow countryman. I am from the Scotlands, the shortbreads, and the Celts. I hope you can hear me now properly with the microphone right in my lips. Oh crap, I forgot to open the browser. How am I going to watch the Man of Steel? Let's see. Where is it? Damn it. No. Close. New window. Go to YouTube. I think my computer's going to blow up, man. Now Zach's he's gonna live stream. I see Ping Pong Flex is going as he's live streaming as well. Do ASMR, and that way I don't have to shout. Dun 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 dun. Holy accent. So we've got about 15 minutes to go. Zack Snyder's going to be live streaming on Vero. So I'm going to bring up the Vero app on my phone and I'll let you listen through the mic. And so yeah, you got me and Ping Pong Flex's streams split screen. I got my new light, so I hope you can see me okay. I've got another really nice light installed, but it only makes a difference in the dark when it gets darker because I've not got shades put up yet, blinds. So yeah. Is it time to forgive the haters like Jodie's Corner? We're not going to forgive them. We're going to rub it in their face. Now, what Jason here is talking about is there is possibly some Zack Snyder's Justice League announcement coming. Might be today. I've not heard. I mean, I'm hearing things, but I'm not like. It's nothing official, right? So we just have to wait and see. But we're just here, guys. We're just here for the Man of Steel live commentary with Zack Snyder. That's what we're here for. That's it. Richard says, how are you expecting me to stream 3 live streams, have Man of Steel streaming, and watching Zack? I don't know. I'm going to try. Gongaga says, how's it going, Gongagas? Okay, so I'll put some music on for you guys. Let's put some music on, and I will. What the hell? So give me a minute. These are widgets. about 5 minutes left. About 5 minutes left, I said. I'll close the music down. Thank you, Eric. You can hear me, Quantum Surge, don't even lie. Announce the Snyder Cut. That's what we're looking for. Announce the Snyder Cut. Rosa, where are you from? I'm from Scotland. That hat is the bomb diggity. Bomb with the dabba da dang dang diggy 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 up jump the boogie. The reason I'm kind of like maybe a little bit the microphone is working fine, right? My voice is fine. It's just that there's a bit of an echo in here, so I don't know if that's coming through to you guys. Like there's a bit of a spacious kind of sound. I don't know. We have got 194 people watching. That's the power of Zack Snyder right here. On my channel, people are watching. You've got Chris Wong Swenson, you've got other YouTubers going live. No echo sounds great. And Blurry Tuesday says, sounds fine. Alright. So I was on Nerdy in Many Ways. I was on his YouTube channel last night. And Fatal J was there. A few others came through. I had a good time. Is Fatal J live as well? Let's go to YouTube. Let's see who's live streaming.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. Oh, you know what?
Now Chris has got his
I should have worn my Zack Snyder.
he's got the watch party event
Ah, I
open. So I don't know if they're going to stream it to a browser, because if they do, I'll have to open that up as well. Let's see. To be honest, I think I'm finding it a bit difficult navigating through all these screens. Hello, Retro Bros. So nothing on Vero, nothing on the link yet. Let's see. Okay, so Zack Snyder, the Vero page is refreshing. It says offline for now. I'm not fasting today, Rosa, because there was a lot going on, so I thought I might skip it today. Don't judge me. And someone said, yes, I am from Scotland. So hello, everyone from Scotland. I think we broke Vero. So I don't think they're going to stream it on the web on a web page. I think they're going to do it through the app, because when you go in the Vero app, it says one live event, and you click on it, and it takes you to a page. You click on that, and it takes you to buffering. It says offline. Buffering and offline. That's the loop. It's going. It's a loop. So we have 277 people watching here, and then we've got, let's see, 284. Nerdy in many ways is live streaming now.
Stream unavailable. Then on my phone as well. It's not popping up.
How can I?
Yeah, and I'm seeing Real in Motion,
listen
and
to
they
Chris.
have
What is
even
that?
they can't get it up too. So
Input.
it's probably doing something. Probably doing. Eamon, the president
It's wrong.
of of Vero must be like freaking out right now. He's like, we gotta get the servers up. Wow, thank you, Jay. Thank you so much for a super chat. Love you too. It's been a long journey. Thank you so much for being on this
Still
journey
offline.
with me. It's almost there.
Can you guys listen? Can you guys hear
So
Chris Wong Swenson? Let me know.
We know it's Jaw Super. Whoa, Rowdy, thank you so much for a super chat. Hey, Chris, hope we get an announcement today. My wife.
It's all sorts of messed up. Oh. Don't know what I'm doing, man. Hey, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about an announcement. I'm just here in case something happens. Buffering, it says. So, some of you can see Zack and hear him, but here it says offline. Oh.
I have the movie queued up. I'm going to turn my camera to the screen. So.
Oh, he's frozen again.
What you're going to see is you're going to see a frame from Man of Steel. I'm going to go to I don't want to go to a crop. I'm going to crop the image once it starts playing with my hard mats in the theater because it's an anamorphic movie, so it's best to see it with the mats in. But right now the mats aren't in, so but it'll be easier to see what frame I'm on. So I'm gonna just try that now. So bear with me for 2 seconds. Let's just try this. I'm gonna flip my camera. That's the frame. It was literally when the Time Warner logo landed. That was when I froze frame it. So if you can get generally into this frame, you will be sharing the screen. I'm gonna give it a couple of minutes because it's a lot of queuing. And then I think also about halfway through the movie, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna re-queue it. I'm gonna resync it. We'll find another frame so everyone can get synced back up again. Because when I was talking to my friends and people last time, they said that they got out of sync and they couldn't get back, and I was just rambling. So and they couldn't tell what I was talking about. So I think it's better if I just stop it and sync it up again, later on, halfway through the movie. So that'll be good. I'm going to give this a few minutes. I'm going to keep talking though, so people know that it's not just a blank weird screen that they're looking at, like some sort of freeze frame. It's not that at all. It's definitely a live image. I did bring today, as I did. Oh, great. That's really good. That's really helpful. There it is again. Sorry. Screensaver. Oh, perfect. Let's just see if I can't click back to that frame again. And what I was using was this edge right here, where the edge of this sort of Kryptonian architecture comes in. If you do that, that should get you pretty close. You see that? So it's this piece of, it's very low tech, but it's this piece of Kryptonian architecture. And then the Time Warner landed. And that should get you very close enough. Because it's really just me, it's not going to have to be frame accurate. But, if you're generally in the right area, then you should be good to go. So I'm going to turn the camera back around, and I'm going to do the little 3, 2, 1, go, and then we'll commence. So let me just do this quickly. How do you like this frame? Let's see. Boo. Oh, that way. God dang it. iPad is not a motion picture quality panning device. But that's pretty good. All right, so let's get our remote controls, and we're going to 3, 2, 1, play. Everybody ready? Or your iPad, or however you're watching it. Maybe you're streaming it. Maybe you have a DVD. I happen to have a Blu-ray because Apple TV. Hopefully, a lot of people are watching the movie, and that's why. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. Small delay. DVD. So I'm going to turn the volume down. And we'll start talking about Man of Steel. All right, so I brought today storyboards as I normally do. So the storyboards are, I love that this cue, Hans Zimmer cue. It's one of my favorites. Very moody and just cool. So on this movie, Man of Steel, it's this many storyboards. It's I don't know what this is. How many individual frames I drew for this movie, but suffice it to say, it's a lot. So they're all, what we do is at the end, I have them all bound and, leather. So they're very, they're durable and they're archivable. And so they exist, So let me just go. I was just going to grab one of them here and take a quick look at book 1, shot 1. And let's see what we have. It's Laura giving birth. And some big close-up. This looks like. Yeah, there's the page 1. So it's Laura giving birth, and you can see the sort of the tableau that I was really digging, this tableau. And then these were my robot drawings. I love this idea that when the baby was born, that there was some sort of the animals took notice. Kryptonian animals took notice, and I think that I did a drawing of that. There's the doodle of the, and then some says birds fly. So on the moment of birth, and then here was some early doodles I did of some costume ideas, and this is the Kryptonian council chamber. But anyway, so you know how I do it, and maybe I'll refer to these later. But this was the Bible for the movie. I always like this. I like the idea that this Kryptonian council, just talking about their wardrobe, and Mike Wilkinson and I talked a lot about how we would depict the Kryptonian council and whether or not they would be
oh crap, it's frozen. Let me bring something up. It's not here. How is Chris Long Swenson watching it and I'm not watching it? Oh well, that sucks. What's happening here, man? Why is it not working? Sorry, guys. Don't know what happened. So the app has frozen, right? The app's frozen. And the website doesn't load. Don't know what to do. Does not make it. Hold on, guys. I'm playing Man of Steel, so don't pause it or anything. Oh,
Jor-El
that's
Moore was
why.
sort of this. He had a connection to the planet and to, its. He was sensitive to its real,
I was kind of inspired by,
ancient qualities, and I thought that would be, giving him this flying creature was a cool way to make him seem a little less, as part of the sort of natural order of the Kryptonian world. And then this Genesis chamber concept, as this sort of central hub where all Kryptonians were, created, if you will, in this sort of baby factory. I mean, there's care given, but certainly, where they've decided to, population control and all these things are fully in effect. And always like the shot DJ did of this baby being taken off by the harvester. It's kind of cool. There's a little bit of blood that you see in the water there. That was really fun. Now, we shot Russell in the pool that we built in Vancouver. It was a pretty gigantic pool. So all the swimming sequences we did with screen. This was a physical set. This half underwater set, we lowered it down into the water. So he'd have to get a swim up into it, and then he'd swim out of it. So we were all in our wetsuits and, with Russell in the filming, in the water here. So this actually was the edge of the tank where we built this set piece that, where Russell was standing, and he was just going to dive off this thing onto like a pad when the explosion. So that was like a green pad down there that he jumped onto. And then, the pad was 30 stories. No, I'm just kidding. It was 8 feet, so it wasn't anything too scary. But he did an amazing. He's a pretty physical guy, so he's able to do that really, really well. And more Haraka fighting the drop ships here. This was this implication that there was a coup going on, and that those were sort of the main forces of Krypton fighting these rebels, Zod's army, if you will. And then we have the Citadel out there on its own, and Haraka got shot. That's really unfortunate. I like Haraka, and I don't want him to. I don't think that's cool. If you notice up there is the broken moon, which in the comic book lore, that moon was broken by, we all know who it was. Anybody want to chime in? No? But anyway, so the moon was broken long time ago by Doomsday. And so this Doomsday concept I wanted to plant early, that Doomsday is a thing that could exist and that could be brought into the universe, because I really like that character. And I always from the beginning, I thought it would be cool to have Doomsday involved somehow in the movies, if there were movies. But at this time, I was trying to. It'd be cool to plant some little Easter eggs that allow it to, us to harvest those ideas for later. There's so this notion of finding Earth as a as the planet that they were going to send him to, is like searching the galaxy, the known universe for a planet. Now, I think that the implication was that they had, you know, clearly they had sent a scout ship, or they had some knowledge of Earth prior. So this was also just like a way of planting early on this notion that, and even like Jor-El says at the beginning, like, you know, we sent thousands of ships into, like, you know, like, let's look to, you know, just like our ancestors did, look to space and all that. So just starting to get this idea that when we, and Jor-El will explain it when we get to the scout ship, but that was kind of the idea, to start to talk about those. And the codex, you know, we're trying to figure out a way to visualize the codex. And I think that this notion that the codex is this piece of sort of, whether or not it's the actual DNA from like an ancient Kryptonian, that's a cool thing to think about. There's a chance that that relic, that old ancient sort of fossilized skull, was a great organic hard drive, if you will, in which all these levels of DNA could be stored. That's also a fine theory. But I do like it as sort of visually symbolic of an origin concept, you know, and it has that sort of, I really like this idea that it was like an illuminated text that had this sort of fetishized engraving on it that really spoke to like thousands of years of worship of this object, you know, and that it had been carved by, you know, some ancient Kryptonian monks.
I think it's about 15 minutes.
To kind of get that.
I messed up my syncing and I've closed the window, so
almost religious artifact quality to it, which I thought was really cool. The one cool thing about, okay, so here we have the Citadel, which you know, looks like a big phallus, and it, not by accident. Of course, Alex is a super cerebral and awesome designer and amazing at subtext and all the things, and this whole notion that Jor-El and Lara were like conceiving a baby, and that wasn't a thing you could do. And on Krypton, we wanted to sort of have all these fertility symbols around. Even the scout ship, you know, when you see it later, we'll talk about it, you know, has all this kind of very sort of easily identified sort of physical qualities, if you will. But I always thought that was really cool. That drawing, I did a really good drawing. A drawing. I like the shot. The drawing's not great, but of Jor-El coming through I really like that idea of Jor-El coming through the gases coming off the little spaceship, you know, and so like you'd have Jor-El come through that before this fight with Zod. Now all this armor was CG, and DJ did a really amazing job, and the visual effects houses at making this armor just look like a costume. And part of the reason why we made it CG was because we knew it was a big fight, and they just couldn't move, wouldn't have been able to move nearly as well in physical costume. But also on the other hand, I really wanted to make sure that there was no way that you would be able to tell it wasn't real. So when they fought, you know, there was a couple of times where they would have a little thing they wore on their chest. So, you know, their fists wouldn't go inside of the armor. But other than that, they were pretty free to move. And it made for this fight to be, you know, more physical. I have that gun. I love those guns. Weta made those guns. And I really like the kind of almost like bone. It's like made of bone and metal, and I thought it was really cool. There's this Joseph Campbell quote, probably in Kryptonian, which runs all over the inside of the Citadel, which is the one that's also on Superman's S. I think only in BVS. I don't think it's in Man of Steel. I only think it's in BVS where we put it on there, which was the where I thought to find an abomination, I found a god. Where I thought to slay another, I slay myself. Where I thought to travel outward, I travel to the center of my own existence. And where I thought to be alone, I shall be with all the world, which is sort of encapsulates the sort of hero's journey. And for me, it's like one of the great quotes that I've sort of carried through my life, and I find really inspiring. Even just when you talk about the cycle of living for normal people, like, this sort of quest for some sort of spiritual enlightenment, and then, how it manifests itself in your daily life. It's a pretty cool way to think about the world. And I think it mirrors some of the things that happen certainly in Superman's journey. So that was the sort of there was a time when we really, I'll be honest, early in the development of the movie, where we talked about developing the language and having them speak only Kryptonian on Krypton, and do the whole thing with subtitles, and have to have everybody learn Kryptonian. But in conversation, I think we all felt like it just could create a barrier to the viewer and not be as immersive, like right out of the box. But that's why we did go through the trouble of creating this super complex Kryptonian alphabet that you could write it and you can read it if you can read Kryptonian. And so that was the thing I thought was really a fun thing to think about and to develop, this sort of individual language. It's a cool sequence. I like the confrontation here where Zod is like, he's like a man of action, and the idea that these bureaucrats are gonna like put him in this black hole prison for the rest of eternity is just not a thing he's into. And I just think that he, the performance here is just really, I always love that little like head shake that he does where he's like, no. It's really, really cool and fun. And we shot this in up in Vancouver in a giant soundstage. We built this. So basically what you have when we're filming is like this big platform that's green screen around, but a lot of this was really there. All the chairs, the council chairs, and this big piece of architecture, and then that kind of the doorway there, that kind of cave doorway that Zod and the guys came in through originally. I think that was it was a cool set piece to have, because we did a lot of work up there, and then with the fight and with the opening sequence, and then this sequence, it was really a pretty beautiful set too, and just all carved by those craftsmen up there in Canada and made it look really really cool. I think this sequence where they go into the Phantom Zone is super fun, and it's kind of that kind of challenge where you have to create some sort of fake sci-fi reality that this ship has to go through into this sort of other dimension, and the idea of these little almost like seaweed tendrils kind of having to charge the ship to allow it through, I thought was really fun notion. And again, you can see the Art Nouveau influence throughout this all the ships, and even the Phantom Zone generator has like a massive Art Nouveau quality to it. And I think that's cool, and I really liked it as a thing. This was all in the Citadel, and I remember we during lunch sometimes a couple times we skateboarded. You could skateboard down, so we'd take a break, and the way we built it was a big ramp, and it went down into the main chamber where Lara gave birth. So we would skateboard down, and I'm trying to think who got hurt. Was it Shandy? I think it was Shandy. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was Shandy. Someone fell off their skateboard and kind of ended it for all of us, and I was like, okay, no more of that. Debbie was like, okay, you guys can't skateboard in the set anymore. If you're going to fall off and hurt yourself. And I think there's video of the fall, actually. I'll try and dig that up. Maybe I'll post it. Pretty cool. Because, like, you know, you could actually get some good speed up. And if you can make it into, like, kind of where Zod came in. So that's always cool when you build a set. It's also a skateboard park. This flight to Earth, I always loved the design of this ship. And I remember we did a 3D printed version of it that was about like this big. Because, you know, the ship was always going to be CG. And there wasn't going to really be a model of it. So it was cool. The idea of having a 3D one was something I really liked. And then so Alex printed me one. And it was really, it's cool. I had on my desk for a long time with the House of LS on the front. It's not an S. On the front of the spaceship. I really thought it was cool. And also I love the way it closed, you know, like that beautiful clamshell way it closed around the pod and it was put inside there. It was really cool. So we shot this this sequence with the fishing boat with the crabber off Vancouver Island up in Vancouver, and it is, even though, you know, you would say, okay, it's moderate seas, it doesn't look that bad. It was really rough. It was much rougher than it looks. Everyone got sick while we were shooting, not Henry, but everyone got sick, and we were trying to film this sequence, and we just went out to sea with a handful of people, and we just started shooting. And it was fun to do, but it was slightly exhausting, but it was fun. You know, just this small group. John, of course, Clothier didn't get sick either. He's a camera operator, and he's just a solid cat, and there's no chance he was going to get sick. He lives on an island, so I get this. This was a cool, like, I always like this introduction of Superman just on fire, you know, for the people to see him, like just normal guys to look at this guy's basically just on fire. And who is this guy? I love that notion. This was a set we built in Vancouver in a parking lot. We built this big, we had the movie, we had cooperation with the DoD, Department of Defense. And so we were by proxy able to use the actual Coast Guard and an actual Coast Guard helicopter in the photography of the scene. And so this sequence, this is a big set. And Henry had to we had this big hydraulic thing, and he had to really grab hold of a thing, not as big as what you see, of course, in the movie, but it was a substantial thing. And this was a prop we built that actually sagged. It was like a piece of metal that actually sagged under these hydraulics. So we were able to create that physically. And then so the helicopter taking off and getting out of the way, that was real. And then the environment was built around it. And I remember when we shot that one shot, as it took off, I was in the helicopter in the camera ship. And as it took off, we had to wrap around it. And it was a little bit, I don't know, that I felt a little bit like, wow, that was quite a dramatic perspective change. And they couldn't, you know, when the camera ship is in the blind spot of the helicopter pilot, that's always a little tricky, but those guys are pros and they made it look easy. Here we have our flashback to young Clark in school. And, you know, I think I did a drawing of this X-ray view of his teacher. Let me see where that one might be. This is all book one, Krypton. This was a lot of drawings of this is Zod and his cohorts. I drew Zod with a Fu Manchu in the old. What was him there? So that's not book one. That's not it. Let's see, probably book two. It's too big, Mom. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so I just, you know, this was my drawing of the school teacher, and her so that's her skeleton face. There's our heart. Boom, 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 boom. There's Clark going, what the heck? And then here's the kids, in the classroom going, yeah, we're skeletons too. It's scary. So, just trying to visualize like what it might be for this young Clark who has this ability to this X-ray vision. Like you imagine that he has to, just like anything, you have to train yourself to see the outside of someone's face. I mean, that would be like a skill that you would have to learn, because otherwise, it's how your depth perception would literally, you'd be able to like look, you're almost like an MRI or whatever. You can look right into the center of their head or whatever. And so you have to like, it would be a learned skill to be able to see the outside of someone's face. So this is a sequence where Clark comes out of the water. I know a lot of people have wondered whether Aquaman saved him. I don't know. It'd be cool. I had it in my head. I really wanted to make sure I could get an out of focus shot in the movie, a couple out of focus shots if it was possible, just because I thought that's just a thing that if this movie can sustain from style standpoint images like that are so, I would go around and shoot all those shots, all those detail shots. I had like Bill and I, so I had just a camera to the side, and so Bill and I would just run around and we'd shoot those inserts. And when you see at the Kent farm, there's a bunch of those details and stuff. And I think the first trailer or the second trailer had a lot of those shots in it, a lot of those little pieces, which I really wanted, to sort of flesh out the details of this world. It was my feeling that, this sort of, again, the depiction of the natural world was important to me in reference to Superman and in reference to, frankly, this notion of an alien living among us, and that the natural world would be his way in, would be this thing that he would have a close connection. And I just think that was, I was trying to express that through those close-ups or images of nature, of the whales, whatever, polar bear later. That was Mike Justice, who ran to the edge, another longtime collaborator and a great stunt performer that I've worked with over the years. He's really cool. He's also worked on Army, and it was really fun to work with him on that movie. There's Clark pushing the bus out of the water. We shot this in we had the river, and then we had this kind of lake to the side. This is right near the Farnsworth house, which was the house, the Mies van der Rohe house, Mies van der Rohe designed house. It is, that was the house that was the inspiration for Bruce Wayne's house in Batman versus Superman. So where we photographed this is very close physically to that actual, it's like a landmark. And we went and visited it on the weekend when we were shooting. And I thought how cool it was. Made me think this is like the kind of house Bruce Wayne might live in. So it was an interesting connection, physical connection between where the Kent farm is and where the house that inspired what would be Batman's house. An interesting lesson there. Kevin is amazing, and I really enjoyed working with him. He's just a great guy, and really just a sensitive actor and very in tune, and really helped us, with these scenes, with the young Clark. It's like just amazing to have someone like Kevin to say these words, because he's just so good. This the iconic pickup truck that like makes it through think 3 movies. Pickup truck. But it's a cool. This was a cool sequence. We shot it over 2 days, and we were fighting the light because I wanted to shoot it in the super low light, for this, sunset feel. And it's difficult, to get both sides in this, 15-minute window where the light's in the perfect position. So it was kind of hard to get, but I'm super happy with the way it turned out and the performances that these guys were able to render, because it's really a beautiful moment. And it's a big deal, I think, for Pa Kent to have to reveal to his son, that he's an alien, which is not a thing, that you have to say to your kid every day. And I think that it's a real beautiful scene, and I was really happy with it. This is a classic, iconic, what I would say it is a classic Kent Farm concept, that in the basement of the barn is the ship that they brought Superman in. I think that is, it was really fun to kind of construct this notion and have them pull open the barn doors and look down, and there's a spaceship down there, and you go down and learn about it. And I think that this is also, like, Amir did a great job on this sequence, great job on the movie. Amir's a really talented cinematographer, and was really blessed to have him, and he's a cool guy. And I think the cool thing was really great. One of the great moments, I think, in this sequence for me is when Kevin says, "You are my son." I found that just that delivery, like, really moving, and that was beautiful. And then I do like, the construction of this sequence, of the flashbacks in this movie. That David Goyer put this together in a really nice way in the script, and it was like this in the script. This kind of, we had an adult Clark who was not Superman, but through his experiences was reflecting on his youth. And so we were able to we start off with this. The first images, like we saw of Superman, were these, where he's saving the people from the oil rig. He's not flying. He's not really known. He doesn't have a suit, but he's clearly this guy with amazing powers. And so then we're catching up with these flashbacks of what made kind of Clark into the man he is. This was a sequence that I really, that I sort of felt like I wanted in the movie. And this was from the beginning, I was like, I want this sequence where we see a guy try to, like, fight him, like a bully. Because it's like there's a lot of the notion that there's sort of Clark is bullied is a big part of the movie, and that he always is, like, he's clearly capable of some kind of violence, but he turns the other cheek, if you will. And I think that the amount of restraint and sort of discipline that he has, that he's special from the beginning. This was always great. This pouring the beer over the top of his head is a nice touch. And then the beer can, we had a rubber beer can, so he was able to throw it at his back when he walks away, which is a pretty good sound effect, because it makes it really sound like a tank can. And then I don't know if I have the drawing of the what's it called, of the semi when it got destroyed. I think I do. I think it was a particularly let's see if I can find 3. That's one. That's cool. There it is. So we built that truck. We took a real semi and we stuck some telephone poles through it. Where is that sequence? It wasn't. Oh yeah, here it is. Pushes him. Clark walks out. Then later he leaves, and yeah, look, the original drawing just had it a little bit less violent. Actually, I think my original drawing was, see, like, I didn't even know it was capable. I had the truck stacked on top of the container, and so the guy was like, "What?" And then there's Clark hitchhiking, which I thought was interesting. The notion that Clark might hitchhike was interesting. Everyone would be like, well, he could just run somewhere. Well, at this point, I don't know that, he's in any hurry to get where he's going. He's kind of drifting. He has this notion that there's something going on up at Ellesmere. So he's going to go check it out, maybe get a job. He's kind of knocks around, kind of trying to find his place in the world. And then Amy Adams, of course, her intro, she's amazing. Our awesome Lois Lane. Couldn't ask for. I was lucky to get her, and I continue to be blessed by her friendship. She's an amazing person, and just one of the great actresses, that's working, or that has worked, in my opinion. So she's just a special person. So this little scene, measuring dicks, that's always great. This sequence is, oh, look, there's the anomaly. This actor who plays the guy who is doing the, working the keyboard there and kind of like, here's the scary part guy. He played in Watchmen, and he was the guy that brings in I think it's only in the director's cut, where he comes in and says, it's Dr. Manhattan. We found him. He's on Mars, right? And then he's the guy so he lays out all the Martian. There's a shot where we have all the sort of stills of the Martian surface, and they kind of make a smiley face. And there's a little blue kind of glowing thing. That's how we know he's on Mars. But if you look later on, when we cut back to this sequence and he wakes up to run out and see the scout ship leaving, on the monitors are shots of Mars, because I wanted to make a reference to the fact that he was the guy that was the Martian curator, or he was the scientist that found Dr. Manhattan on Mars. And it's funny that he plays a scientist that is looking at stuff. So I thought it was a cool Easter egg to put that thing in. I thought I was going to get a free camera from Nikon when I did all these close-ups. Not so much. This was a cool set we built on stage, this kind of snowy cliff edge, where we go down and find the tunnel. And the tunnel also was a physical set we built that so this piece was about 20 feet down. That sort of glacier face was about 20 feet down, and up, and there was a little walkway that had been carved. And then we built this, attached to it was this cool tunnel. And so, we were able to do those shots of him walking down the tunnel was a cool physical set that I really liked. And then we had, of course, here's a real good example of sort of the Art Nouveau look of these shots. And I think that early on, that kind of weird clamshell vibe was the thing I was kind of really digging. You can sort of see it, I think, in this image of the this is the first flight. These are the first flight images that I just stumbled upon. It's cool. It's just a cool drawing of Superman flying. Fun. It's 4. What's this top one? Sorry, it's dark in here, and the books are black, and they're just embossed. That's how you can. So yeah, in the shine, I can see it nicely, but in the actual search, it's difficult to find. Oh yeah, here's that. Here it is. This is is him finding the scout ship. Here's the doodle I did, and I shaded it a little bit with marker, so you can see right there. There's a little Clark right there, that teeny Clark, and then this is the ship sort of embedded in the ice, and then there's Lois coming down the tunnel. So that's cool. These are just shots of him going around looking at all the different parts of the ship. Oh yeah, and then this was where he starts to see his dad coasting around the interior of the scout ship. He's like a spirit in the machine. I guess when he puts his key code into the thing, it loads Jor-El into the thing. Here's the creches, famous creches. Those are the dead guys. And the, oh, what? One's open. So 20,000 years ago, some Kryptonian landed on Earth. The crew died except for one escaped. Looks like one escaped to me. I'm just saying. That was definitely by design. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
And then these cool robots.
Ooh,
I really
Mr.
like these
Gallup.
robots. They're very I like their tech was really fun. And then Henry had to squish, like I think we gave him like a tin can or something to crush for that sequence, like a green can. He had to crush it, and it was cool that he did he did a good job. And then they were able to really put the robot in there pretty well. They look pretty cool. I like this notion that Clark could see your injury and like cauterize the burn or cauterize the wound and kind of, does have implications that are difficult about what he can see and what he could heal and what he could do. But here's the Mars, the Mars bit. So see on the computer there, that's the surface of Mars. So that's for all you Watchmen fans. We did toy briefly with having Dr. Manhattan in that shot, but then I thought that was too much. It's no longer an Easter egg now. It's just like actually Dr. Manhattan. He's a Watchmen fan, I guess, in that case. And this is cool. And these are just big sci-fi spaceship coming out of a frozen glacier shot. That's just fun. Nobody doesn't want to do that. And then the way we shot so we had this sequence coming up where Lois is on the little iceberg. So we took a bunch of helicopters with a small group of us, and we went up to this glacial lagoon that's up in north of Whistler, and we shot this sequence there. It's a kind of it's kind of a big lake that like where the icebergs slough off of the face of the glacier, and that's where we shot these little shots. We did it in an afternoon. We just all landed. We had lunch out there. Remember, it's just a handful of us, so we had little sack lunches, and then we did those shots of Lois waking up. And also, Amy doesn't like to fly in helicopters, so she did not enjoy the trip up, although it was incredibly beautiful because we were flying through all these giant mountains, and it's an amazing landscape. But she just doesn't not a fan of helicopters, which I get because they're sketchy, but it was a beautiful day. Now the Daily Planet was we shot all this stuff in Chicago. Chicago was metropolis for us. Ironic because it's people would think I think you'd think it would be New York. I think in reality the real metropolis was based on Toronto. If I'm getting my history right, which I'm pretty sure I am. And then so we had this sequence where, of course, Perry doesn't want her to run the story, and so she's going to give it to Ward Byrne because he's got some dodgy news website where he's able to put things up that are particular. Now, here's that polar bear. We were able to get that polar bear from that polar bear came from an IMAX shot from some IMAX nature film. We stole that polar bear, and then because the negative was so big, we were able to use it in our shot and have it be so clean, and then go up to find the scout ship. It was a bit of a find because like it's hard to get shots of polar bears. You can imagine, not that, especially out in nature. It's not that easy. And now here's Russell in his hologram look with his suit, with his House of L underneath. Because we really wanted that moment where he could sort of do his Superman reveal, which is coming up in a bit. But he just kind of, this sequence, the sort of, we call this this was history lesson, Kryptonian history lesson. And we wanted to use this sort of, we have these kind of liquid metal displays, you know, which we see in the sort of faces of the robots of Kelex and Killer, those monitors, like where the baby was or where Laura's face was, or this was kind of this was sort of our display tech for Krypton, was this kind of liquid metal and this kind of pewter color, which we thought was really cool. And then we thought this kind of propaganda style, like that this was a created, sort of a state created, sponsored history lesson. So you got a lot of these heroic angles and heroic depictions of Kryptonian conquest or imperialism. And I just, so it was really fun to create this, and I just generated tons of reference, and I think I dig it up. I think it's right there, but there's drawings of all this. You know, you can see sort of even this sort of, there's a little bit of a Art Deco vibe, but a lot of this was taken from, you know, real propaganda artwork, you know. And then we have that's the destruction of Krypton. You see that sort of molten. So it goes all the way, and then there's Zod with his kind of ray of lights coming off of his head, even though he's arguably the bad guy in the scenario. I still think this, you know, image of him in that way is, you know, this heroic image of Zod. It's always kind of, from Zod's point of view, of course, he's right. You know, he gives that speech at the end about, like, you know, rebuilding Krypton, you know, and there is a chance, of course, to rebuild Krypton because, and there still is to this, even in the timeline, because Superman still has the codex inside of it. So, who knows what's possible? But that's the choice. That's the cool choice that Jor-El gave him. Like, you know, do you let, like, this notion that Jor-El's saying that, like, you had to start again because even your mother and I, we were part of the broken system. So you had to like go on your own. Now, the idea that this 20,000-year-old ship, the ancestors of the House of L would have existed in, and or I think there's an argument for that the suit was custom by the Jor-El AI that's inside the system. So he's able to, the suit's being generated by Jor-El. That was always my notion. And it's this black suit idea being planted here is that the House of L's family suit would be the black suit, but the suit, the facing out into the public, the suit that he says you'll help them, you know, attain wonders, that suit is the suit of optimism, in my opinion. The red and blue suit, which is much more, to me, it's a more inclusive, it's a friendlier suit. So these shots, this is all CG cape acting at a super high level, and it's some of my favorite and super cool stuff. That shot, where he's walking, I drew it like a lot of those frames with the kind of curling cape edge and stuff like that. And TJ was really nailed it. So this first flight concept was he's jumping first, right? Like as you would. I mean, I think that this idea that if you've never flown before, it would be difficult, but exhilarating as it is. But I think that Henry, just called him Clark. Clark does an amazing job. Like Henry does an amazing job, just kind of expressing that kind of excitement, trepidation, and then also I think there's this level of responsibility he feels in the realization of this power. I think that is also evident in his the way he renders the scene, and I think it's really a beautiful sentiment that he would be able to be this amazing. He knows the responsibility, did this force for good, but it's not without responsibility, I guess is a way to think about it. And then this idea that when he puts his fist down, all the it starts to let you know like what's happening from a technological or a science standpoint, as far as like why are these rocks are lifting off the ground, and there's like this gravitational field or something being generated around them. I'm not exactly sure how it works. And if I did, I would certainly not be here right now. But yeah, let me see if I think those were in the end of 3, but let me just take a quick look here. I think there's some cool sketches of the flight. Yeah, I think this is one of my favorite drawings there. It's kind of fun. So where's that? Yeah. I have it as his foot, but those are the floating rocks. This is the cool sequence where Lois goes looking for the evidence of Clark's existence. Oh, that's good. That's the grown-up Jack. I mean, Jack was the actor's name, who went to Art Center College of Design. The actor did, and after this, and I've seen him a couple times at the school. The cool thing about this, the actual cemetery here, is that it was, if you look in the distance, I don't know, I think actually we were shooting on the other side of the actual Kent Farm. It's right. Well, it would be screen left. It's like 500 yards away. You can see it. So it's really cool geographic. When we did in BBS, when we walked from the Kent Farm and they took the wagon through the cornfields, it was a real walk. You can do the real walk from Kent Farm to to the cemetery. So it was a very, for all of us on the crew, and having been through these whole sequences, it was cool to go back to the Kent farm and then do that walk with Superman. It was very emotional for all of us. This sequence we shot, tornado sequence we shot we closed this small section of highway down in Illinois, and it was we were able to route the traffic around like 2 exits down, so it wasn't that hard to do from a logistics standpoint, but it was problematic to work, to create this tornado. We had what do you call it, this giant jet engine that would generate dust, and so or wind, and move all these trees and stuff, and really blew like crazy. It's water, not vodka. It could be vodka. It's a vodka bottle, but my throat's a little dry from talking. I'm sorry. So so that's this cool CG tornado. So a lot of this stuff, we had cars on wires, and we had the big wind machines, and then we had the big jet engine, to kind of really make a big wind. Then we have this, you can see those trees and stuff. Like, so this is the stuff we had to shoot with the big fans and with the jet engine, Kevin running through the cars. And I like that blue heeler. I remember getting that dog. I really wanted a blue heeler for the dog, and so it was. We had a great trainer, because he had to run through this. When he jumps out, he had to run through this wind, and there's all sorts of, what do you call it? We were shooting hay. If you look, there's like a truck with hay bales on it right in the front there. So we were firing a bunch of stuff at him. And so, yeah, and then the sort of creation of this overcast look too, because it was a sunny day that we had to build a big silt to shade Pa Kent, to make it look like he was in the heart of the tornado. Sorry, I'm just watching the movie for a second. It was really just like, to have Clark not be able to save his father it's quite a notion, and that he's respecting his father's wishes not to expose himself to the world. That's a big deal. Michael Kelly, of course, amazing actor, awesome guy, Dawn of the Dead alumni. Just cool to have him in the movie. Again, this is back in our location in Chicago, our Daily Planet location. We basically took this floor of this building and we turned it into Daily Planet. In BVS, when we went back, we built it again in Detroit. It was the same. We found like a similar architecture, and then we matched it by sort of building out the interior. But for this movie, we did it all in Chicago. And then the base of the building, the lobby is like the Mies van der Rohe building that we used for the lobby. And then we built that. You'll see later, we built that Daily Planet kind of sculpture, and that's when he and Jenny run out of the building. But you know what I think we should do? Like, we're about to go into this sequence, the "You're Not Alone" sequence. I'm going to pause the movie here on these butterfly shots, and we will see if everybody's in sync still. So this will be just like a 3 or 4 minute break while we sync up, maybe less. And let's find a frame here. This is where I am in the movie, right on the hug. Let's do it. Boom. That's a good frame. So sync it up. Everybody take your chance to sync it up. Oh, look, I'm walking through the shadow. It's me.
Hope you're all enjoying this. I know I am. I run out of snacks. Shit. We are at 59 minutes. Well, I'm on 59 minutes 37 seconds. I don't know about you guys. I'm watching it on YouTube because I've got a Google Play Store version of Man of Steel, which is now you can also watch it on YouTube if you have it. Let's see who's in the chat. Rescindo, thanks a lot for the stream. My Vero crashed. Where did he go? I think he's gone to get some snacks or some vodka. Why did he live stream in the morning? Because it's best to do things in the morning. What's that phrase? The early bird catches the worm or some shit like that. Gob life, says Mattia.
All right, I hope everyone got more
Thank you,
coffee
Chubby Teddy.
and more water, because that's important. And we will get back to it. So I'm going to turn this a little bit, and I'm going to go like this. And like that. Let's see, how's that? That's fine. All right, so 1, 2, 3, play. So yeah, this sequence where Clark returns home after finding his people, that was a cool sequence because, again, you know, it was late in the day. I wanted to shoot it late in the day, but you know, it was a lot of coverage and stuff. So we, in those wide shots, we ended up putting the sun in post a little lower in those trees than it really was, just out of frame. So, and then this stuff, you know, the sun was really actually was low. So, but it was a cool sequence and and we built this. I don't know, the Kent farm we built from scratch. There was no house there. We built it on this property, and we had, and actually we kept it for like a couple of years. You know, it was like we had to have it like a security guard stay there for a couple of years and watch it, because we just basically wrapped it in like you know, some kind of plastic, and they just kept it because we built the whole interior. You know, the downstairs. There was a couple rooms, and then there was a staircase. There was one room upstairs that we were going to use, but we didn't. We ended up using it in BBS, where Lois's Clark's room. But for this movie, we weren't really going to go. And then here's Harry, and he is a you know, secretary. Well, I don't think he's not the Secretary of Defense now. He's general. Sorry, I'm looking at his his career path. I know the future, so it's cool to you know, when you make a movie, and sometimes you get confused about the timeline. Necessarily, just turn something. And then yeah, that's them seeing the spaceship, the coming out of the Phantom Zone, and I think that the design of the spaceship as this kind of sort of non-standard flying saucer, I thought was really kind of fun because it was very it was I don't know, it's threatening, but it's also unusual. So the silhouette isn't like an easy thing to identify. I like this idea of Clark drinking a beer. It just makes him really awesomely normal and cool. So here's your like you're not alone. That's Clark able to, you know, he can see it. You know how I feel about POV shots, so not a huge fan. But in that case, you kind of need to see it because that's important to the what he's able to perceive. He's able to see that actually what it is. And now we get this message. I really like the idea that this was like kind of from a genre standpoint, like this kind of 1950s sci-fi invasion message. I really like this notion that it's like a, you know, Twilight Zone episode or some kind of you know, what the classic invasion story. There's Christina. She's Agent Ferris and also lives in Pasadena. Good friend and very cool. Saw her for coffee not too long ago for our being in a little bit of lockdown. These were some shots that we picked up in Lone Pine. We went up and shot this shot of it was when we near the end of the movie where we shot the big satellite dishes. We picked up that shot of sort of what looks like these Tibetans. And then you get this image of Zod, this kind of smeared, you know, he's like on a bad zoom, it looks like, or something. Now we're used to this. This is like a normal way for people to look on TV now. But I really, you know, we did experiment a ton with how that smearing would work and what that look would be, you know. And again, it kind of, this sort of use of this kind of pewter coloring for the Kryptonian tech, or even just their representation, I thought was really fun and kind of a cool color palette for them. Even though on their planet, it's kind of this warm, on Krypton itself, it's kind of warm, but when they leave, it's this other look. But yeah, that gives you a sense of the interior of the house, you know. You see it more. We actually, when we crashed when Zod throws the car through the house, we had to tear the house apart and put the car in the upper part, and then we had to repair it again because we had to use it later. But the house remained, and this kitchen remained. I think we were, but I do think we had to I'm not sure whether we were able to keep all the appliances. We had to refine them again. There's wood burn back on the news again. And this was Lois's old apartment before she moved to her new place. Clark, it looks like. smaller apartment. Later on, here comes the military. It's a cool little escape sequence, but of course it doesn't work out. All this we did in Chicago as well. You know, it was really actually fun to shoot in Chicago. It's a good town for making movies. It's really friendly and good crews, and you know, very efficient place to work. This was a great and fun sequence to shoot. We like this notion. I mean, look, Clark's grew up in Kansas. He has these values that, are part of culturally part of who he is, even this notion, these bullies kind of messing with him. Again, this is a similar, but also, we gave him the philosophy book because we felt like it sort of showed that he was, had aspirations beyond like this local sort of Kansas community. But I think that, he definitely, see, look what happened. The guy that was bullying him on the bus changed his mind. Oh, he crushed that pole. So that could have happened. I think that, but like, of course, he has huge respect for and believes in this, his father's place in the, like his father's a farmer, and like, I think that he believes it's like definitely a noble and an amazing, job or pursuit in one's life, I think that, but again, his destiny lies, somewhere beyond. So that's a thing he's grappling with. I really like this idea, this low angle with the stained glass behind Clark, with that kind of characters with these red, this biblical figure with the red robe on, kind of gives this notion it's Jesus. That like, what is going to be asked of Clark, what kind of life of sacrifice and what kind of questions is he going to be asked, and what will he be asked to give, or if he gives himself to his own, to what he knows to be sort of morally right, like what will be asked and what is he capable of. And I think that's part of it's part of this conversation, the priest. And then I love this image of this lone figure floating in the sky, facing off against this army. It's a very singular concept. And we shot a lot of this for real. I mean, not implying, but we had this over was done upon like a scaffolding or in a scissor lift. Like that single thing. And then just the idea that, Superman in handcuffs is ludicrous, but it's clearly like symbolic to him. He says it in this, you let him handcuff you. Like that idea, I think is really, it's cool. That he understands, how it would make them feel better. I mean, if he kept breaking the handcuffs, it'd be problematic. Although, kind of does that too. And I like this we shot back up in Vancouver on stage. Built this set, and it was right near the Kryptonian council chamber, so it was a cool relationship there. Having Chris in the movie was a fun. He did a really good job and was like a really cool kind of foil for Superman as a human. And he ends up, I think, coming around. Well, he does come around to sort of point of view of Superman, and comes around to his sort of what he perceives to be his moral dilemma. And I like that Chris expresses that, you know, sort of physically, you know, and I think that it's a fun arc to have that character that also has to sacrifice later, you know, in a way that is equal to what Superman's doing. You know, like, it's cool to have these human characters alongside Superman that are doing things that are heroic as well. And I thought that was really important for the movie. I love these kind of iconic images of those two guys by themselves. And we shot this at Edwards Air Force Base, just out in that, on the, you know, they have like this dry lake that they land their airplanes on. And it's just a really amazing vista. And just that, those kind of two figures out there is really like a beautiful kind of, and cool, frankly, fun image to create. And then now the dropship coming, Yora. Really get a good look at her here and kind of get a sense of her. Ancha did an amazing job with the character. She's fierce, she's strong, she's dangerous. But also, I think it's represents an interesting first contact with a real Kryptonian for Clark, you know, and also just this aggressive approach, you know, of the dropship. I find it really cool. This was some helicopter shots we did on the day, because there was no spaceship there, so we had to kind of just imagine how big it would be and get the framing correct. We had like a small, I think we had these stairs on a scaffolding, and there was like a green thing above it with a little kind of sun shield to give that sense of them, which I think is really quite a thing. She like really gives them the full. So this is this. But it's cool. And then also, so then we had to talk about like these the breathers and how the Kryptonians, you know, it's taken a while for Clark to assimilate to our atmosphere. And so they still need their breathers, although, you know, arguably they figure out how to get around that. But at first, you know, they need these helmets. And it's also cool because it kind of gives this amazing barrier between the two, and also gives her a very sort of alien vibe, which I think is a cool immediately cool look right out of the box. So now they're headed up to they're gonna go up to the world engine, or the world engine is part of it, up to their ship, the ship that they went into the Phantom Zone in. But these drop ships, they got these drop ships from on their exploration of the galaxy. They found some outposts. I think you see them in that one shot where they pick up the scout ships. They're all down. And now they're going to switch over. And of course, when they go into the Kryptonian ship, they're going to have Kryptonian atmosphere. And so Lois won't be able to breathe that. So we had to build this breather for her, which was all CG except for that collar. And then this is just cool I always wanted to do it. Like, I like this idea, like this sci-fi docking shots are fun, you know, like this spaceship going into it's very cool sci-fi, you know, because there's a lot of sci-fi elements to this movie. I mean, let's be honest, you know, it's an invasion film in a lot of ways. So, and then the whole opening sequence is on another planet. So we had a lot of sign and a lot of sci-fi things that had to be resolved. See, this is starting to feel the effects of the. Yeah. And then to see him bleed, I thought was really cool. It shows the, that he's vulnerable, and I think that was that's a big sort of move for us because, I think as a viewer, you think, okay, well, what's he going to do to get out of this? Like we know he has superpowers. I'm not sure whether they have superpowers on Earth or how it works, but when he gets on the ship and he coughs that blood up, you're like, okay, things are not going according to plan, which I thought was really cool. A cool concept. And then, and here we see Zod, and what I would say is, it is a construct, but it's kind of what he would imagine it's what you would imagine the sort of antithesis of Superman. And this is the cool sequence where we learn about how they got out of the Phantom Zone and how they got to Earth and sort of collected their because Zod's a genius, so he's able to put it back together. I mean, fix the ship and get him out of there. Yeah, and then I like these these are cool discovering of the old outposts is cool, these sort of withered Kryptonians that were left to rot in space and abandoned basically. But see, yeah, there's your dropships down there. So they're able to kind of basically build an army, and then that's where the world engine. So the idea is that the world engine, they were going to be terraforming that planet, and then they stole the world engine and they brought it with them. They can terraform Earth. And then this virtual Ken farm, which we did shoot on stage because we wanted this kind of stylized quality to it. It's like this amazing sort of images of what I would say are again these cool sci-fi invasion images where the Earth is going to be turned into an alien world, which I thought was really kind of a fun thing. There's a lot of subtle cues just in the visual effects themselves that we were able to even just the clothesline, all that stuff, and then now this sort of destruction of Earth sequence. So Earth, and then also the transformation of Superman into what would be one of Zod's guys. Yeah. And then we have this image. This is an image that I've always loved, is this image of Clark and the skulls with the burned out remnants of Earth, and just his idea of hell, and I think that it's real powerful and sort of beautiful. That's Metropolis, by the way, behind Todd. It's kind of a fun images. And let me just see if I have I think I have the drawings of that. There's some this is the history lesson. Yeah. So that's the it's him going down into his skulls. So that's kind of a fun concept. We have they're starting to move into position, the drop ships. We're coming up, in a minute or to the Smallville Battle, which I thought was which was a really incredibly fun thing to shoot, and it had a lot of cool sequences in it, and a lot of cool kind of, for me, it was fun to do like this notion of a physical fight between Kryptonians on Earth, sort of equally matched, and how that would look. You know, the challenges of trying to create that physical fight. And Damon and his guys put together this amazing sequence after long conversations about how we would have it. And it was a difficult sequence to photograph, though we knew what we were doing. It was only difficult in the sense that it was technically complicated in that we had to just know all the time, like, what was going to happen. So that is to say that, you know, when you're just shooting elements, constantly just shooting pieces, you know, you get this, what I would say is it's a difficult puzzle to keep in your head all the time, because you have to be able to pre-visualize how all of it's going to go together and make sense of it. And thank God DJ and Damon both had we had a stunt viz and we had some previs, and we were able to like really make sense of it. But as it was happening, it was fun, but it was also, like I say, complicated, and you weren't ever quite sure, like, oh, we've got to hold him upside down here because, you know, the camera's going to be like that, and we just need this element of his head there because he's going to be CG and then he's going to fly out. So there was a lot of that, and a lot of pre-planning, which I think the guys did an amazing job with. I like this sequence where we see the multi-Jor-Els inside the scout ship, because he is an AI and he's not really there. It would make sense that he wouldn't have the same issues as of course, a normal person. Right? He's not physically there, so he's just controlling the systems from inside. But of course, he's not physical, so he can't touch anything. So cool that light. We made the light, you know, we erased the top, so it's just like this kind of wafer thin, just like blade of light, which is kind of a fun. There's the IHOP. Smallville water tower, very iconic. Look at her, she's doing good. Put those guys out of the way. Lois is making her way to the. Okay, he's still there. It's cool. That was like 3 Jor-Els in a row. This was cool, and I like this where he's like anticipating the like trajectory of the punch. That's Samantha Wynn, who I've worked with on tons of movies, and who is a really amazing performer in every way. And she also has a great part in Army of the Dead, and you'll get to see her in that because she's really amazing. And she has the not only cool drama that she renders for the movie, but she also does a lot of cool. She does a lot of cool action sequences as well in the movie. So that's really fun. Also coming up, you'll see is the visual effects guys put a hot dog truck in the movie, and it's coming up. I think see it a couple times, but I have it in my office. It's a little hot dog truck, and it has it's all over the place. But we'll see it coming up in a minute. This was this, image that I drew of sort of the savior kind of image, which I meant as a iconic reference to sort of, I feel like the intent of at its base concept, this savior imagery. But also like, in a kind of, what is the price? This was a fun sequence to shoot, and I think, let's see if I have this images, drawings of that, because I think we'll have some of that stuff. Turn. What is this? Yeah. Here's Ma Kent. She's minding her own business, and the dog's barking, and then these drop ships are coming into the backyard. I really like that one shot. That's it. That's this right here. That's the drop ship. And then that stuff is them coming down and landing in the cornfield. Then this is coming down to intimidate Martha Fiora. We always were like, get off my land. Like she should have had a shotgun. I always thought that would have been funny. She and then here's Fiora going into here she's going into the barn. See, there she goes. Oh. It's a lot of books. This is like a little frame that I drew. That was like Superman coming to a building. This was fun. I think the hot dog truck. Oh, we just missed it. Oh, it was right. You have to go back. I think it's right. It was right there. Flew over it. It was coming down the road. This is like when I think the first time where we really see him like lose it. Superman, like really, it's cool to see him like. I was like that idea that he's a little bit out of control, and that's an interesting. That's a thing you don't want to be around. This was a difficult thing because we had this canopy that when the canopy fell, it was on a hydraulic, and we I think we blew it because the guy's name who was operating it, the canopy, his name was similar to the word canopy, so he was I'm supposed to say canopy, and then they're gonna say his name, and then Biggie heard something, and then it fell. But we were able to sort of set it back up and do it again. But we thought we only had one take, and then of course we got the second one out of it. His name wasn't Canopy though. That would have been cool. That's just the kind of thing that happens in movies. You put the guy who's named Canopy in charge of Canopy. So when I say, I'm going to say your name, that will be you getting ready to drop the canopy in this canopy, whatever, what I'm saying. This was cool. Take that away. And now let's finish off the Kryptonian. That's cool. And then this is again like 1950s small town with Namek and Feora, and they're like these crazy China aliens. These are some of the great, I love these shots of Henry with that little shine in the S. And he's kind of just trying to get everyone to like lock their doors and hide because this is not, he doesn't want anyone to get hurt. And so these were the DoD little birds that we had with our with Chris's what do you call him? His special forces guys on them, and then the A-10s, the Warthogs, which are amazing. We did a bunch of looked at a bunch of video and saw a bunch of tests with the 20 millimeter Gatling guns in the front and how they operated, and they're really quite scary and powerful pieces of equipment. But this is the sort of this little war sequence, and you can see it's cool to see like how they physically confront these planes. Now, like we were saying, like we don't know that they, and when we were talking about it earlier, we were like, I'm not sure if Namek or Vero know how to fly necessarily, know how to jump. But I don't know that they know how to, like they could change direction in the air. Like that's a thing you have to learn, I think, with a little more practice. And Superman kind of had to do that. There's a small advantage, yeah. I'm trying to remember where we shot. Okay, so this IHOP, the interior was shot in, there was the hot dog truck just went by in the background. But the interior of this IHOP we shot in Vancouver, and that close-up we shot in at the real IHOP in Illinois. So there was like a lot of mixing here. This was a set we built inside in Illinois. And that was like one of the first images I shot with my Polaroid camera. I shot an image of him against the safe. I think Clay shot the actual photo that we released of Superman against the safe, with sparks. And it was just like it was a cool image of Superman. It was like our teaser, I think one of our first teaser images or in production images that we had. And it really was, I thought it was really quite cool. It kind of stuff. I love this idea, just as an image of him against, half destroyed safe. And this was the stuff that we really had to we R&D'd this really carefully, and Damon did a lot of the idea that we had it was some wire work and some just the actor would roll out of the way, and then we'd mime that there was someone there, and it was really cool to see it come together just as we planned. But it was tricky on the day, as I said. This is cool. There's a lot of going with the with the SEAL team or whatever they are. I think we had to create a branch. These are, I think, Air Force guys, but it's cool. It's Ben. Ben is a friend of ours, and he was a Navy SEAL and came and worked with us on this movie. And ended up having to do a little bit of acting, and did a good job of it. This right here, I thought was really nicely done. It's a CG shot of the helicopter crashing. It really feels good. The rotors pounding into the ground and stuff. And this sequence I really enjoy. This is what it would be like, I think, to fight, for humans to fight, someone with pure skill set. You can see it's not a thing you could do. You think about how you have to interact with a superhero of that strength, against what I would say is just a normal person, and it's not going to work out. And that's the thing with Chris's character here. When he stands off with her, it's just a super brave thing, because I think he knows that if the guns aren't going to hurt her, then I don't think anything else is. And there's this weird, I think, sort of mutual admiration. I think her view of Chris is that he's a human, but he's showing what I would say is intense bravery. So she has a teeny respect for that. She has some sort of cryptic warrior ethos, you know, like, which is fun. And then we have, you know, her helmet gets a little messed up, and he gets clobbered by a freight car. Now, I mean, the truth is, even this locomotive engine. So it was cool because we built this. We ended up building this locomotive engine and putting it in the Sears there. I think we built that Sears because they were a partner, and I really wanted them because I felt they really kind of helped with make sure you could see the taco truck back there again, driving around. It was like on its way, I guess, to Smallville. That was the Easter egg the visual effects guys kept. But they sort of planned it out so it would arrive at the right time. The hot dog truck. Did I say taco truck? There's a taco truck in Army of the Dead. So we're talking about taco trucks, but this is a hot dog truck. This is a Superman stepping out from behind the car shot. I was puppeting the cape for this shot. I remember it well. So I was there with that's me kind of swishing the cape in front of the camera, you know, trying to get it the right cape acting. Clearly, you know, I think these guys saw that he was fighting against them and that he's not an enemy. And so he's going to acquiesce to the soldiers are letting him pass. And then Chris has this moment with him where he realizes that he is an ally, which was a nice working out. And then I think from this point on, you know, Chris is down with the cause as far as whatever, you know, Superman is there to help. This is the what I was talking about before, where the truck was in. We had to put the truck in the house, and we had these images that we had created of sort of memories of Clark's life. We had in these photo albums, and those were fun to shoot. We shot them in pre-production. You know, we actually shot those with Kevin. You know. And then I think we got a couple shots that he had sent us just from his life of him fishing. So those were I was grateful to have those because, you know, they really gave a little bit of context for you know, what their lives together might have been like, and what, you know, classically how, you know, you'd imagine your father in these kind of iconic images, you know. This, of course, was another set that we had in Vancouver. This big control area of this of the Kryptonian ship, and now we're learning that God knows that the Codex is inside of Clark. And like, all he has to do is get it out. So then this plan can be complete. Kenzie. More vodka. It's not vodka. Stop it. So now it's them dropping the world engine, which again, you know, is a similar technology. You know, it has a similar shape to the Phantom Zone chip. So the notion is that they would use the Phantom Zone ship to reflect the power from the world engine, and thus start to terraform the Earth. This kid was cool. He was like a day player. At the this is our Bora Bora second unit stuff that we picked up. We ended up going there, same place, to get our PVS shots of the piece of kryptonite under the ground. But anyway, this kid who was this day player who came in, really nice guy, really good actor, but he had the line in Superman, to call him Superman, like that. And I really feel like it was a really cool kind of thrown away and like beautifully irreverent reading. I really like how kind of subtle it is and not overly, there's not a lot of pomp and circumstance around it. It's really kind of thrown away, and it's kind of cool. Now here's the and here, now they're going to begin the process of terraforming. We like the idea that the energy dispelled this kind of pyroclastic cloud. I don't even know if that's right, but it's volcanic. It has some volcanic quality to it. You know how volcanoes are world shapers and world creators, and we wanted to have like this quality of a volcano and a hammer mixed together. Imagine. It's probably not a very good thing to have happen. A volcano and hammer, put together. And then we have these. Now we begin the process of terraforming. And I think that the notion here is that, this idea of what happens to Earth, what happens to us, there is no us, is a pretty strong and real consequence. Is a very real consequence to the. Oh look, Debbie's here.
How's it going?
It's going good.
Debbie's here.
Yeah.
Debbie Snyder.
You remember
the destruction. I came at the destruction in the world.
You came to Detroit. Oh yeah, see, look, Superman. They call him Superman. Do you remember this part? This was in Vancouver. We built this in Vancouver. This sequence in Vancouver. That was the control area. Remember, we built that on a set. That I think actually we built it in that school. I think, now that I think about it.
We did build it in that school.
Yeah, we
I
built it
don't
in the
remember
school.
what that school's called.
Harry. Monitoring.
It was great to be at Edwards Air Force Base, though.
Right?
Yeah.
Here, talk to him for a second. I'm gonna go. Do you remember the Edwards Air Force Base part?
Yeah, I do remember. It was the first time I was ever on an Air Force base. And I remember actually Sage was really little, and right when we were doing this scene, I have this amazing photo. She had this little hat on and a little sweater, and Henry held her with the planes in the background. And I have a similar one with Cash and Batman, and I have these two just amazing images of the kids, because these heroes have been a part of their life growing up on set, with them. And, they don't even know, like, we'd be like, oh, Henry, and no, that's Superman. So they were just these heroes. And they would always say, like, oh, who are you going to work with today, Daddy? Are you going to see Wonder Woman? Are you going to see Superman at work? So it's kind of a surreal thing. And I remember when we went off to do this movie, Sage was literally 3 months old, and we went on the road and started shooting it.
Oh, did the losers get banned? Huh? The losers in the chat, did you get banned? Did I hurt your feelings? Debbie's just she wants to watch the movie. She doesn't want to talk. So, hello, Jolly Critic.
Okay, I'm ending up watching it more than actually talking about it. I'm definitely not as talkative as Zach.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. That's cool. That's cool. That's fine. I heard you talking about the babies. Do you want some coffee? Oh, you don't have a coffee?
No, I'm fine.
I'm gonna get one more little cup of coffee. I brought this coffee down because I thought I would probably need some coffee during this movie, but I've only had one cup, so I'm not super jacked. But that will change hopefully soon. Well, not hopefully. I mean, it's fine. Yeah, I really loved, DJ and I talked a lot about just how we would do this, this sort of like area inside the stream of the world engine, because Superman's got to destroy it. He's got to fly straight. We had this notion that he had to fly straight up it has these defenses, of course, too. These, like, again, it goes back to that kind of what I was saying about that this is it's almost like the displays on Helix and Kilor, or the history lesson technology, that kind of liquid metal, that pewter. Those are the same defenses that the world engine has to fight, to try and stab Superman. These kind of tendril arms that like try and destroy him. So it was cool. It was cool that, he was able, after he defeats that, though, that he's got to end up, after he gets thrown down, he's got to end up flying straight up that, right up the beam of the destruction. So it was a lot of like, is it anti-gravity? Is it like, what's happening inside that? It was fun to create that, talk about that. What's it like inside there? So yeah, he's having to fight that. So this is what I was talking about, the Mies van der Rohe building here. I'm gonna just give you a sense of where I am, just to give you a chance to catch up, because it's right near here, near the Zod battle, and I want you to see it. So this is where I am right now. I don't know if you guys are there, but it's them running out and facing this massive insanity. That's kind of where I am. So if you got a chance to sync up, this is the building falling.
This was crazy to shoot too, because you remember there was like some kind of protests too. So like when we were shooting this at the time in the city, I don't remember what it was about. Yeah, some kind of strike or something, but people were all over. And it's hard enough closing down the city with all the extras.
I mean, it wasn't protesting us. It was
not us.
Yeah, that's cool. That's good.
It was something. I don't know what it was, actually.
That's cool if they were. Yeah, I don't remember it that well. Because I remember we did that on that same time we had to do the sequence with Henry riding the bike to the Daily Planet, and that was the same loop that we were running around on, because there was no destruction on the day. I think we had some wind machines and stuff. There was no
blowing stuff.
Yeah, but we weren't really disrupting the city as much as it looks like we were. We really weren't. Our influence wasn't that strong.
I love these scenes with the two of them.
Yeah, they're really fun. They're really cool. Their interaction is really quite cool.
Well, they're both such amazing actors too.
Oh. Carlos says it was Occupy Wall Street is what was going on.
Oh, Occupy Wall Street. Okay, that's what I knew. There was something. I remembered. It was hard to like get around and get the trucks, and I just remember logistically it was hard.
Good look at this. Takes off and heads to town. It's heading to Metropolis. Yeah, it's I really wanted also, it's coming up now, but there's a Superman Zod fight in the city. We always talked about it like this insane, like ultimate barroom brawl, like where you really, the stakes were the world, like literally all life on Earth was at stake in this fight, and that was the sort of directive when we were working on putting it together. This is cool. I remember this set. We built this in Vancouver. It was this fallen down building set. Guys. So the set really only went like, probably just that first car there. The one, maybe not even that far. And then that was a green screen beyond that. And then we built that giant pile of rubble. And actually on the backside of that rubble really is where Superman comes into, where he and Lois end up before he faces off Zod. So that rubble kind of went, we used both sides of it. Even though geographically it's not the same spot, we were able to use both sides of it to make it feel cool. And also just because it's not like you have infinite. You don't have infinite resources. So you use your pile of rubble. You use both sides of it. If you use one side, you're kind of wasting a big part of it. This is a great cue. I really love this cue. Hans did an amazing job in this little section right here. I got to say, for me, my favorite Hans cue is, even though it's not that crazy, it really just is the Superman. Dun, dun.
Yeah, that's mine too. It's so simple, but it's so emotional.
It's just, it's really simple. And I remember he just played on the piano for me, and I was just like, that's amazing. Like, it's so cool. And it's so iconic. And even now when we use it, like, and like when we use it in BBS, and you can imagine it, what it would like, every time I'd like to see Superman in some, what I would consider, emotional or traumatic moment for him, you'd want to, now we're used to that theme, and you hear it and what you're seeing, it's like a beautiful sort of way to reprise the emotion that you've gotten over like two movies, or three movies, potentially three movies, that you would be able to like hear that cue and know where you are emotionally is a really cool, and it's a difficult thing, and it's a cool thing you get from the sort of breadth of this universe being realized. This was cool. And so we shot all this stuff inside a real cargo plane at Edwards in a hangar. And then that was a green screen out there, but this was the real plane. And then we would so we had our pod inside the scout the spaceship inside of a real cargo plane, and we really did it, for real. So that was fun. And it was kind of cool for the Air Force guys, because we had the real Air Force guys who, worked on the plane to have to strap it down and tell us how it would really be, and they were in the scene, and it was I think fun for them to be part of it, because it was fun for us to have them to tell us how it really, you know, how the plane would really work and all that. So it was really cool. And then we had to build the cockpit we built on set, because, you know, he has to fly it. He has to actually do the work of flying the plane, and then when he fights, when Fiora comes through the wall, that was going to have to be a real plane. Here she comes. But that was going to have to be not a real plane, because we were going to have to bash the walls out. So this is them figuring it out. Here comes Fiora, which is cool. Oh, it needed to be twisted. That's always difficult. It's a Rubik's cube. I love that. Hilarious. See, those are the real guys, the real Air Force guys who were operating the thing. You know, Miss Lane, that guy. You know, and then this is what I was talking about as far as the cockpit set, because you got to and you get a little bit of the Feora, like super fast fighting, which I like. And then like there's my boyfriend. And then like of course she has no like, you know. But again, I don't know that she even conceives for a second that what Chris is capable of. You know, as far as sacrifice. And I think that's the cool thing about this, is these people are basically doing what Superman or anyone would do in that situation, you know. And then the cool thing about, I like this because that's the angle you see in BBS of the plane going into the Phantom Zone spaceship.
I do like them all getting sucked up.
Yeah, they're going into the Phantom Zone. You could always, I guess you wonder, are they in there?
I feel like they're in there.
I think they're in there.
I think they are.
I mean, is there a chance to survive inside the Phantom Zone with no suit on? I feel like possibly.
They are Kryptonian.
That's true. I think it's cool. I mean, it'd be cool to imagine that means Feora could return.
You never know.
You don't. I remember this shot was more complicated than it looks. This is what I was talking about. The backside of this set right here was where Jenny was underneath there. Becca was underneath that. The backside of that. So then we said, oh, let's use that side of the set and we'll just continue it. For the kissy scene. But that fly-in was difficult because we had to do this double wire work thing where like they were both on a wire and we brought them in so they could land. So it was like a real wire shot where they, you know, like we really did, it wasn't CG. They really like came in on a wire and landed. So that was slightly trickier than you think. And it took a long time. I remember Damon did that shot because I kept coming over and going, how's it going? And he'd be like, oh, well, we're trying them again. You know, it was like a 50-yard run on a wire. So it was quite a complicated little setup. More than, you know, it's one of those things you think, oh, that's easy, right? You just land with, he'll just take Amy and somehow he'll do it. And again, it's not that easy. This was what I was talking about a while ago, where Zod was, you know, talking about building a new Krypton in a smaller. This is a really hard shot because, of course, this is a full CG costume. So we had real dirt in his hand, and he, you know, I think it was a green glove, and he had to let the dirt like roll off his glove and create underneath it that armor. So it was like it looks like a nothing thing, and just dig some dirt up, but it's literally a super complicated visual effects shot. Michael's so good. I really was lucky to get him for this part. He's an amazing actor and a very intense guy. He has an incredible sense of humor. but he also just was scaring Debbie and everybody.
I said he was so kind always, but he's so in character all the time, and he's super serious. And then all of a sudden he breaks, and you realize he's just a really nice guy. But he's a little scary.
He was, but he would joke around all the time. Like he would be in this mode, but he would still be kind of sort of joking. So yeah, you could, once you got it sort of in his rhythm, you could tell. But I feel like he was scary from a distance.
And he's physically imposing too.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Strong. Henry would say he was super strong, even though he didn't really train that much. He was one of those guys that just not really strong. This was a set we built. I mean, this was a set we built. This was a CG set we built. So yeah, we did a lot of this. This is just a lot of green screen. It's like we had to do this interactive lighting and get the I-beams to work, and then, you know, DJ would go in and just rebuild their faces because they're so, if you look at the sort of like subsurface lighting, you can see like they're lit from inside, and so it's a really complex thing just to make someone have, because when we talked about the heat vision as a concept, I was like, let's have, when they charge up their eyes and do their heat vision, we should have it like internally, you could see it glowing, like, you know, making their entire head light up. I think in a couple of shots you can sort of see their cheekbones and stuff like that. There's a LexCorp reference that we wanted to just lay in there ever so slightly. It was fun to put that LexCorp logos in, because it was a cool thing to reference a bigger world. I thought you know, at this point I had this notion that there'd be we could have a bigger world, you know, for like a bigger world for Superman to exist in, you know, because he needs people to fight. You know, it's hard.
This is one of my favorite parts.
Oh, running up the building?
Yeah, I love the running up the building, and then when they collide.
Yeah, because Zod can't really quite fly yet, right? So he's just starting to he's starting to figure it out. So that's why he had to kind of claw his way up the building. You'll see him start to get a sense of his flight in this next sequence. This is kind of a funny thing. It's funny, I don't know about funny, but if you notice this sign, when he hits it, it goes from 106 days to 0 days of safety. It's not. We thought it was, you know.
This is the moment.
Yeah, where he learns how to like, he sheds his armor. He doesn't need it anymore. Really, the truth is he knows that it's like it's like he's stronger than his armor now, right? So what does he need that for? It's a cool little beat too, where you see he has the glove on, and then we go to the feet, and the glove falls and floats. And then also to harken back to what, you know, we were talking about before, when Superman took off on first flight, and when he put his fist down, those little pebbles kind of swirled up around it, which is a fun thing. This also sequence I was really happy with and thought was really fun. The flying through the streets and also this sort of approaching dusk look, you know, which I think is a really interesting look for the city, where the lights are on, but it's still just ambient light in the sky. It's kind of a great time of day, and an impossible time of day to shoot. Not impossible, but difficult to shoot that time of day at scale. Also, if you notice that spin around shot, if you ever click through it, frame advance it, I think the final frame is like an iris. You know, that's how they get closer, and then it's pretty crazy. So this is a Wayne Industries. You can see there briefly the Wayne Industries logo on the satellite. His hand scraped through it. So Bruce Wayne is somewhere around. Well, we know where he is. He's just right there, actually. He's right. He's just in the city there. By the way, he's looking up at this moment right now. Yeah. Just lost one of his satellites. He's pissed. I'd be pissed if I lost the satellite.
It was cool shooting the train station.
Yeah. This is a cool trans. You remember, like, it's in Untouchables. Remember the Untouchables movie, Brian De Palma movie? They use that
The
same
baby
staircase
carriage.
for the baby
Yeah.
carriage. Yeah, that's right over there. It is cool. And then the family here.
Very controversial moment.
Family.
Wow.
Well, listen to the music here. It's also, this is also all about him ending up alone. Like, we can debate forever about whether Superman would kill Zod, but also, would you? The real question is, it's his own, like, his legacy, his people. He's choosing, and he's choosing us, and it's like that's why he's so hurt, and he's also, like, for him, I feel like he's torn a piece of himself out, to
It's also reminiscent of his father and not being able to save his father, to me.
well, the
He was
emotion.
able to save these people.
Yeah.
They would have been toast.
They would have been toast for sure. Kind of a fun. It's kind of a fun bit, and I love this tableau right here. By the way, it's beautiful. Those are all CG ruined over there. And then this is like what I was saying earlier. Like, right up the street is where we shot that Tibetan sequence. These are like the things, like, in the morning. Let's at dawn we'll shoot that Tibetan sequence. Then we'll get on then we'll head over to the dishes, and we'll do this sequence.
This was our last.
This was our last
This
day.
was our last day of shooting. I remember that.
There's a picture of Henry and I, with our arms around each other out in this desert.
I think we had a little champagne at the end of it too.
And why wouldn't you? Out there we had champagne. Out there in the
Yeah,
desert.
no, out there in the desert.
Getting drunk in the desert.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think it was like we were working
Okay.
this much.
Small amounts. Cool. And then this guy is monitoring Superman. Is he really Swanwick? I don't know.
Henry looks so iconic there, though.
Yeah, I like the heat papers.
Yeah, I
and
do
stuff.
too.
It's cool.
And then he's gone.
That's a great line.
Huh.
What's going on? My phone is.
I don't know what's going on here.
My TV's doing something here. Let me see.
Oh my goodness!
What's that?
Who's joining us?
Hey guys, thought I might crash your little watch party. Hey.
I'm doing good. I'm looking at I don't know if you're synced up with me, but I'm looking at you and
Mark
Mark
I
at the
knew
what are
he
you
was
gonna
gonna be
do?
there.
What's your plan?
Oh, nice, in the cemetery.
Yeah, are you gonna, like, maybe get a job at a newspaper?
Oh, something like that. Somewhere I can keep my ear to the ground.
Something like that. That's right. Oh yeah, and then this baby Clark and
I
his
love this.
baby Clark and his dog. That was me running around the yard with the trying to get that dog not to bite me on the ankles when I was running. He was biting me a little bit. And he's biting the kid, which was pretty funny. Just, I mean, not hard, but just enough where he
Oh,
was
it's like hurting. Yeah.
not like no blood was shed, but it was enough to, like, he kept going like, can someone tell this dog I'm trying to do my thing here? And the dog keeps attacking me. And I was like, oh, it's cool. It looks great.
Right.
But yeah.
I knew he was going to be there. I knew it.
Yeah, well, it's good to say, how you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I thought I might show you guys where I've been hanging my cape for the past few months. I'm good. I'm just working through isolation really, and using things like this to entertain myself.
Oh, nice.
His fortress of
But
solitude.
Oh, sorry. I was like one of my favorite shots of the tie. Remember, we had to put a wire. So we had Henry on like some sort of rig, and then we put a wire in his tie so it could stay flapping, because I really wanted to get that flapping tie shot. I can remember you going like, geez, okay, fine.
Yeah, you kept on coming back and be like, no, how about now? How about now if we just tilt it just a little bit? And I was like, really? How is it not flapping anyway? But yeah, it's that was we were on a bike for some of those shots, but then we were on a special rig for others where I wasn't even
yeah.
biking, right?
Then you were just really on the bike for some of them, and we had
Yeah.
that. We had this really kind of hilarious like fixie, you know, those kind of hipster fixie bicycles, and we thought it would be really easy. And they're like, it was like, I guess it was set like in like 8th gear, so like Henry would be like, could you guys give me a bike that's easy to ride, for God's sake?
Yeah, there was some hills, those up to big bridges, and I was like, really? Can I get a real bike? Does Clark have to be this cool?
Oh, the glasses here.
Oh yeah, the glasses. This is the first glasses look. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we went
Welcome
through quite
to
a
the
few
planet.
glasses.
Look at what does that mean? Welcome to that Man of Steel. That's pretty awesome.
There you go. What's good?
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
What's gonna
That was
happen?
fun.
It was actually a lot of fun to watch that again. It's been a while, and I do really like that movie.
Yeah, I love that.
A lot of
What
fun
was your
memories.
what was your favorite scene to shoot, Henry?
Favorite scene to shoot. Eesh.
Sounds like a reporter.
Yeah. My favorite scene to shoot. I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say to shoot because I have fond memories of shooting all the scenes. That was a massive part of my life and a big fulcrum point. But I think what I loved watching the most was that really cool moment where Soups gets up after being floored by the world engine and just, slowly standing up through the gravity beam and then just nails it. That turned out really, really cool. But there are so many cool scenes in the movie. It's tough to pick just one.
Yeah, that's an amazing. I agree. That's an amazing scene. I really love it. So
yeah. How about yours, Debbie? Zach, what was your favorite scene to shoot?
My favorite scene to shoot, I think, although it was also the hardest, was the Smallville battle. I think that was the most exciting to see all that stuff happen. But I also remember it was like 100 and like some odd degree. It was really hot. And it was hot for me, but you guys were all in those suits. And I remember the cooling systems that we had to stick in because, it was dangerous. At one point, we had to keep you guys cool. But it was just exciting to see that come to life and to be in the town.
I think it was literally 100 degrees, and you guys were in basically wetsuits. I remember one time Henry would go had his suit, and he pulled the sleeve of his suit, and sweat,
just
AKA
gushing out. Yeah,
a garden hose of sweat poured out, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's
It was very, very hot. I remember everyone trying to usher me into air-conditioned rooms in between setups and takes, and I was like, guys, I've got to stay one temperature. If you keep on getting me cool, it's going to be miserable for me every time I go back into the heat.
Yeah, I'm gonna
just gonna
have
stay here.
pneumonia next time I walk out there. Yeah, no, it's cool. It was it was a version of you were like Swedish. You know how if you go from a sauna to the snow, but it was in reverse.
In reverse. Yeah, that was a fun sequence actually. How long did that sequence take? That was a while.
The Smallville sequence, I think, was a week. We shot for a week of just fighting. Yeah, it was intense.
By the way,
it might have been more.
And the town was so great too because they had to shut down.
Yeah, they let us pretty much
Plano.
Yeah, destroy that town. That was good.
No, and then I think they were happy because afterwards, I think a lot of people came to the town because they wanted to see.
I think for a while there was a museum, museum. I mean, it's cool. Let's call it that, but I don't know.
A thing. Yeah, a building, a room.
It was great.
It had artifacts in it, really important artifacts.
They were so friendly, and I remember the police department and fire department. They were so helpful.
Oh yeah, I had my Plano Police Department T-shirt. I used to wear all the time.
I remember driving to work every day. Well, I didn't drive, but being driven to work every day, and there were kryptonite cookie signs and stuff at all the farms, and that was a nice touch. It made us all feel really at home there. So thank you, Plano.
It was beautiful. By the way, it was beautiful. Do you remember the cicadas when we shot at the farm? They were so loud. I remember we had it was just so loud, all the sounds. I remember all the production problems. I was the sound got ruined.
I was good. Oh yeah, the sound totally did get ruined.
We had to ADR all of that.
Because there's like cricket. cricket. That's a bad cicada. Anyway,
I don't know. That was pretty good, Zach.
Yeah, thank you. I'm known for my cicada imitation. I mess to do it at parties all the time. And I'm like, guys, it's embarrassing. I'm so good at it. I was going to do some Q&A with some fans, but you're here. Do you want to?
Hey, yeah, I'm in.
You want to join in and hear some of these?
I think we have some people that we can have join our Zoom here.
What?
Cool.
I didn't even know what Zoom was before,
Yeah, now everything is Zoom. Now you can't
Zoom.
not Zoom.
Who else is coming?
I just thought it was moving quickly.
I Zoom I Zoom with you upstairs
Brent
to
Coffee,
like,
Adam
hey,
Biggins.
I want a sandwich. Like a Zoom, as opposed
Chris
to
Hughes.
let me just look at my thing.
I think it's just going to take them a bit to get everyone.
Hang on, everyone's coming up slowly
Cool.
but surely.
Harrison and Rizik.
Hey everybody.
Hey, how you doing?
guys.
Moreno.
Hey Henry. Zach, Debbie.
Hello.
Yeah.
Are these?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Hey, Joey.
Zach, Debbie, Henry, it's great to see you.
Good to see you too.
Awesome.
Were you able to watch? Were you watching?
Yes. Definitely was.
Oh yeah.
How
Nashila,
was
stay
your
on
sync? How was your
Nashila.
sync? Did you guys get the sync okay?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
pretty
sure.
close.
Nashila, get in. What the
Give or
hell?
take?
Yeah.
Hi,
Give or
guys.
take. Yeah. I was like, what is he talking about?
Well, you know what I mean. Them trying to have the movie match.
Oh yeah, no. I was there were things you were talking about, and I was like, I'm definitely in the wrong place.
Okay. Well, I did jump around. Sometimes I would see something during the movie, and I'd go, "Hey, that reminds me of something that happens at the end of the movie." And I'm sure if you tuned in at that point, you'd be like, "Wait a minute,
Yeah.
what the hell is he talking about? He's insane. He's lost his mind."
I just
Right
got
on.
so wrapped up in that hot dog truck.
Did you see more people?
I don't know. Let me just see. I'm in a grid setting, but I don't know if I see every single person. There's Henry.
There you go. Swipe over. Let's go
Swipe? Really?
Yeah, just try it.
You're making me nervous.
Hello.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Say
Good.
Hi, guys.
A second page.
No one fits. We're on the iPad, so not everyone fits on one page on the iPad. So
Yeah, same here.
So thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Guys,
Thank
and
you.
also you, Mr. Cavill. I'm a big fan of yours.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Hey Henry,
Well,
what's going on? It's Dustin.
Hi, Henry. I love you.
I just, hey, Daniela.
So guys,
I'm so happy.
you guys all have some questions, yeah?
Oh, absolutely.
Pay attention to her question.
Yeah, I'm just looking. Oh yeah, so let's see. Who is here?
I
So,
know Justin.
I'm just
I
looking
know
here.
Nashila.
Joey, go ahead. Ask me your question because I think it's pretty. I mean, I think it's, as far as the movie goes, it's pretty important.
Sure. So it actually fits in because at the beginning you talked about the reference with how Doomsday broke that moon overlooking Krypton, and I hadn't heard a lot of people talk about that. So I was wondering if there were any Easter eggs in any of your DC movies or movies in general that people haven't caught yet, or any that you've wanted to put in but you decided ultimately not to.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I think there's probably a couple hundred that are in there. I haven't really done a running tally of, maybe that's a thing, a project of mine. Maybe during my isolation, I'll do an internet scrub of all the Easter eggs and all the ones that have been identified.
Sure, yeah.
But I got to say I haven't done that yet, and I'm sorry, but I will. But I think I'll say, some of my favorite. I mean, just there in that last sequence.
What's up, Harrison?
Just having the Wayne logo on the satellite and the LexCorp, gas truck. It's not really an Easter egg because you can see it, but it also
Right, sure.
it's in retrospect, it's a bigger Easter egg than you probably thought at the time.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? I think that's fine. And also, I think, talking about just for instance, the guy with the Martian screensaver on his
on his computer at the base, at the Arctic base, because he was the guy that brought the Martian images from Watchmen to into that Dr. Manhattan sequence where they're looking for Manhattan. But
yeah, I got that too. I thought that was great.
That's it. But look, I think partly the reason why we have so many Easter eggs in the movies is because I think we have such a good time, and we pay so much. There's so much detail, and we spend so much time thinking about everything that we inevitably end up with either like super important Easter eggs, like what I would consider, LexCorp, or we end up with super silly ones like the hot dog truck that's driving around.
Right.
Yeah.
But regardless, I think what it shows is that there's a lot of caring and a lot of attention to details. So. But
yeah,
thanks,
and I think no matter the degree, like it shows that you care about this world that you're building, and I thank you for that. It's really great to see.
Well, thanks. That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see. I have another screen, so I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody.
That's good. Yeah.
Hang on, if I look like I'm doing this, it's because I'm scrubbing. Let's see. So I have one from
Here.
Chris.
Chris.
Chris, what do you got, sir?
Well, my favorite character in Man of Steel, or one of my favorite characters, is Jonathan Kent. I thought that Kevin Costner was perfect in the role of Jonathan Kent, and what you've already said before about him bringing sensitivity to the role, and being a father myself and listening to his dialogue, which I thought was perfect. Everything he says in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman was wonderful. My question to you was, and I think you've answered it already during the stream, was what is your favorite piece of dialogue or life advice that Jonathan gives to Clark in Man of Steel? And also, hi Henry, you're my hero.
Oh, thanks, mate.
You're welcome.
It's cool because he actually plays a hero, so it's a great.
Yeah.
It worked out.
Thank goodness for that. Otherwise, it'd be super awkward.
Oh, and that, I brought some beer because I noticed that you had a bottle of vodka there at the beginning, so I brought a beer.
It's not. I said it was not vodka. I said
Sure,
that. I don't want everyone to be
you're
like,
saying it, Zach.
And one more thing.
How do we really know?
Happy birthday to your mum a few days ago, Debbie.
Oh wait, what? Say that again.
I said happy birthday to your mum a few days ago, Debbie.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
She might be watching right now.
I think she is watching. She was here in March because she lives on the East Coast, and because of the quarantine, we're like, you're not going back, you're staying here. So it's been nice having her.
Yeah, she basically is, she's in a weird prison with us. So
Nah, she's enjoying it, spending time with the kids, and she's been cooking. So we've gained, like we say, it's like
it's ridiculous.
The quarantine 15 or something.
It's a quarantine 15. That is right. That's what we have at the hospital.
And also, Zach, before you answer the question, I just want to say thank you so much for your movies and connecting me to the most wonderful people in the world. You are a true hero of mine. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough.
That's kind. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I guess, yeah. And look, I feel like I was saying, I feel the same way about Jonathan Kent. I think Kevin's work is really humanizes him in an amazing way. And actually, I think Kevin has this kind of simple, a really earnest and beautiful way about him. He's also an amazing athlete. I know this is an aside, but we would throw the football or on set, and I like to throw, whatever object is around. And it's just nice, it's always fun. It's like Field of Dreams. I was like, this is awesome. I'm throwing football with Kevin Costner is kind of cool. For me, I guess being just, growing up, it was pretty
pretty cool experience. But again, like I said, when I was watching the movie, it's that moment for me when he says, just the way he says, "You are my son,"
Yeah.
It's so, for me, it's just really
melts your heart.
You really feel it,
I always feel like this whole thing, and maybe because, we have adopted children, it is this great story about who is your family. And, because to me, at the end, it's like Clark makes the choice to adopt us as his family, the world, humanity. And I just think it's really beautiful, in that's why this story, is such a personal, I think, story for me.
One of my favorite scenes as well is at the very end, and he's and Henry is overlooking his dad's, Superman's dad's grave, and Martha says, "He saw it, Clark, believe me." And then it cuts to a scene where Jonathan Kent's watching him with the red sort of cape on his back, and the typical Superman, the Superman stance. It was just magical, truly magical. And I always look at it and think, did my dad look at me like that when I was little? And now I look at my children, what are they going to be when they grow up? And it's truly amazing. Every time I watch it, it always gets me in there, right here.
It's a story for
That's
generations.
awesome.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good, because that was, when you make a movie and you have a moment like this, and you have this idea, for some moment where that might be a thing, and you, the first time you sort of talk about it, or you make a note, or you do a doodle, and because hopefully as a filmmaker, or an actor, or hopefully an audience at the same, in our relationship that we all have with each other, you feel it that first time, and when you feel it that first time, you have to go through a process to make it real, right? And I think that that process of realizing it, and then getting actors, and then filming it, and all that stuff, it gets a little away from you every time. Not away, but it gets a little harder to get that feeling, and I think that it's an awesome thing when you get it, and you see it on screen, and maybe the first time you see it, and you're like, that was it, that's it, I felt it, it happened. And then when you talk to someone who's never seen it, or had an experience with it at all, or had it, had to go through this ladder of events to get it onto a screen in front of them, and they feel it, it's a really cool thing, because you're like, wow, okay, like it worked, like the process worked. It didn't fail me, which
Definitely did.
I'm not saying that it doesn't, that it did every time, but it's pretty cool.
All right, who else?
Who else? Sylvia, is that how I say your name?
Yes,
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, everyone. First,
Hey,
Harry,
Sylvia.
you were amazing in The Witcher. And get all the big parts, please. And you kind of answered my question already. Did you have a plan for Supergirl in the DC Extended Universe when you made Man of Steel? There is a Man of Steel prequel comic featuring Kara. Was there ever a plan to continue that story later, introducing her in a Superman solo like you did with Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman, and then give her a solo? Because the theme of family is so strong in the DCU that I think it would be nice to see that meeting between Henry, Superman, and her not end up alone, like he did.
Yeah, I mean, that it's an awesome question, and by the way, it's a super powerful character, and and I would say like an amazingly iconic character, and we really wanted to keep as we went forward. It was always my intention to broaden the universe and to continue to start to bring in more and more of the family, if you will. And I think that she certainly falls into that category. And certainly the idea of a standalone super cool movie is it's a cool idea. I don't have a script or anything in mind, but it would be amazing to see for all of us, I think.
Thank you. I love you all.
That's cool. Let's see. Who else? You think?
How about the Kryptonian show, Jacob?
Did we talk to Jacob? Jacob.
Hi, Mr. Snyder and Mrs.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Good.
Okay, and Dad,
The tag on the house.
Okay, and Dad, about that suit that came from the Kryptonian ship, how did Dad, who or whoever designed the suit, that Kryptonian suit, to be blue, and why did one of the family members of the L family chose to be blue, red, and yellow? I mean, what does the color represent?
Sure. I mean, I talked about it a little bit when we were watching the movie, but I think that there's a lot of ways to think about the suits. We had massive conversations when we were making the movie about like what the suits were. Were they, because you can see that like what we try to do is the basic suit, like what the sort of, we call it the skin suit that Clark is wearing and that Jor-El is wearing and Zod is wearing. That's kind of that is the practical, like everyday wear of a Kryptonian out in the world, right? Like you see them, everything that they're doing, they have this skin suit on underneath their, whether it be armor, whether it even be like they're in those mech suits that they're walking around that planet on. They always underneath, they have this kind of consistent, that skin suit. And then I feel like we always talked about the cape being sort of a formalized version of that. So like in the dream sequence with Zod, you see he's wearing a cape in that sequence, right? But in the other sequences, he's not, right? So it's like there's like a formalized version of the skin suit that has a cape. And so my way of thinking about it was two ways. You can either think that the House of L, which is a long-standing house of noble stature on Krypton, that their ancestors were explorers, and it was literally part of that family that was exploring the universe, which I'm fine with. But also, I think you can think about it in terms of, because Jor-El's AI is in the ship, that he can, these skin suits are controlled by the ship and manufactured or created in the creches. And so they would represent different guilds and different presentations. And I think that the red and blue, like I was saying, is a diplomatic presentation color for the Kryptonians, and would allow this notion of diplomacy. And sort of, if you listen to what Jor-El is saying during that sequence in his explanation of what you're going to mean to the people of Earth, you can imagine that would be, what he would hope for the outward image of Superman to the world would be. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Henry, what was it like for you when you put on the suit after it was made for the first time? What was that moment like for you?
Difficult to forget. I'll say that much. It was a bit of I remember putting it on for the screen test, and I think Zach, you sent me a picture of, it was the Polaroid, the literal Polaroid of someone, you taking a picture of me or someone taking a picture of me, and that moment when I stepped outside for the first time, and it all been so hush hush, everything had been kept under wraps, and everyone was walking around behind closed doors. And then I stepped outside and everyone kind of turned and looked. And you had that moment where I didn't feel ridiculous. It felt empowering. It was a remarkable experience. It was something which I will never forget, because if you told me as a kid that, oh, one day someone's going to put you in a skin tight blue outfit and you're going to stand in front of a whole bunch of people and they're going to take pictures, I would probably dread that day. But because there happened to be an S shield on the chest, and there's something which lives in our psyche down to pop culture and what Superman represents, that carried an extra magic in that moment and made it something really, really special for me.
And what was interesting, because when we were doing the test, we didn't have time. We were still developing the suit. So we asked them, and we got Christopher Reeve's suit out of archives. And I remember it came and they had white gloves and they pulled it out. And we were like, oh my God. And that's what we used for the screen test until we were able to develop. And also, it takes months to get it. And it had to be, specific to Henry's proportions and
our suits for the movie.
Yeah, it was quite a process.
Well, it's funny too, because I tell that story too about you coming out in the Christopher Reeve suit, which by the way is not, let's be frank, that suit has the underwear on the outside. If I laid it on the table in front of you, it is not heroic looking. It is made out of polyester or something, and it's not even like ours. Like the modern suits have some shape, right? Yep. If it's laying on the ground, you're like, oh, the guy who wears that, looks like a big dude. But the Christopher Reeve suit is literally like, if you took off a stocking and you laid it on the table, it's kind of what it looks like. It's not, it's kind of this flimsy thing. But, and when Henry came out of the trailer in that suit, and all of our, we had a small crew to shoot the test shot, and those gruff dudes like turned around and looked at him. I was like, oh, geez, what's it going to be?
It's going to get ugly.
They were like, badass. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really? They were like, that's Superman. That's badass, bro. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's okay. That's good. Whew. You run the gauntlet on that one, but it was cool. Yeah, and then by the way, he looked like you do, exactly as Henry said. You look at that outfit and you go like, oh, that's like, I think it's in, we're all programmed to see Superman, just like even you guys with your S's on. You look like, you look strong.
Yeah. It's a powerful image, Superman, and it stands for a lot more than just a blue suit.
Yeah, it does indeed. What do you think?
Zach, I've got a question for you, if I may.
Yeah, please.
Jor-El's AI consciousness construct, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
How complete is that? How advanced is the Kryptonian technology in the sense that is that consciousness capable of love?
I don't think so. In my mind, it was like he kind of had to load what he believed to be what a grown-up version of himself would need. I think it's super complex, but I don't know that it is a complete person. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and the reason why I say that is because I don't want. I think it undercuts a little bit of Jor-El's sacrifice if he
he's still like,
snuck
hey,
his consciousness into a thumb drive and tucked it onto the ship and said like,
probably should have done that for my wife.
Laura.
Damn
Sorry,
it.
Laura. I'm out of here. But I do believe I think about it like he like a diary that he wrote to his son, right? Like a love letter. Like a love letter to his son.
Okay.
So that when he got there to Earth or whatever and finally came full circle, that he would be able to it's like, you're in the attic of your house and you find this letter your father wrote you to my adult son, read when you're, 40. And you open it and you read it and you're like, oh my God. That's kind of how I imagine the Jor-El AI.
Okay. So it carries the message of love, but itself is not capable of love.
I think so.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
No sweat. I think that's cool. It's a great question, and it's a thing we grappled with because, it does, you want him to still be have given something up to get you out,
Right.
which I think is super important.
Yeah.
Because there is a theme of sacrifice throughout the movie, and
Yes,
and
there
that and I think that theme is, it's like everyone Clark comes in contact with, the lesson that they give is that for a greater good, we go.
Right.
Hey, Zach, mind if I jump in for a second?
What do you got?
I just wanted to tell you and Debbie, a lot of people love you and care about you, and we thank you for all the work that you've done in your films. And Henry, you're great. We hope to see you again soon, hopefully. But we'll see.
That's cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Thanks, Brent.
I like your. I see you got a Superman right over your shoulder there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Behind you.
I had to search
Yeah,
for
look out.
multiple Walmarts. It's about 36 inches tall. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, he's like, I was going to say, either he's super far away and he's life size, or he's right there.
It's a universal things of every superhero should be.
Oh, yeah, he is a big. He is big.
Optimistic and you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I appreciate and I love you people. They are amazing people. And I appreciate you guys are amazing human beings.
Oh, it's fine.
Thank you.
Where's Danny? Is Danny there?
Hi.
Hello.
Where are
How
you?
you
I
doing?
think you're
We
on
can
my
hear
other
you.
screen. Hang on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there
Yes.
you are. You're like
I
the most
literally
intense
did-
close-up.
Yeah. Yeah, I have problems with the audio.
Oh, where are you?
I come from Chile,
Oh, perfect.
like
I love it.
south, far
Yeah,
south.
south of here. It's slightly south. If I get on the Harbor Freeway and keep going.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, I have a question
Yeah.
that is the mother of all our questions as a fandom.
Oh, really?
Yes. That's serious.
Oh, geez.
Oh my god.
I'm scared.
I'm scared of it too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Me too.
When will you release the Snyder Cut?
Oh, she went there.
There it is.
She went there.
There it is.
Yes.
There it is.
Is it
Yes.
us releasing this?
Yeah, when will I release it?
Don't cut the stream this time.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Suspense.
Look, the truth is, I'm not 100%, me personally, I'm not really, and I've said it before, I'm not really in control of it necessarily, right? Like, I mean, I've said it exists and I've been very clear with my, like what I did, with it, and, but that, it's not really up to me per se. If it was up to me, I would have probably already like left it on a thumb drive in a bathroom somewhere. And
Yeah, because people like picking up thumb drives in bathrooms and putting it
well,
into
not
the
anymore. Not anymore. In the
Typical
current
scenario.
there.
What else do you do with your Saturday night?
Yeah. Things not
Someone
to
would be
do
putting
101.
Pharrell all over
Yeah.
it.
Is there a true story there somewhere?
About the thumb drive in the bathroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, whoever's listening, do not pick up any thumb drives you find in bathrooms. That
Yeah,
is
this is not.
Well,
I'm not-
try it out.
that is not a
I'm not
situation.
suggesting this as you go forward. In your, this is not. Yeah, everyone's like going. Okay, go to the look. Let's go see what's in the
Yeah,
bathroom.
there's going to be a news story about that. Tons
Yeah.
of people going to bathrooms.
Yeah, looking for thumb drives.
Looking for thumb
And
drives.
also, I promise you, I did not put that. Don't pick the one that's in there up because that's not mine. So whatever's on that one is not something you want to see, probably.
Oh, dear.
But yeah, so like, look, I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Henry? It's a hard question.
Henry's going to talk about the Snyder Cut.
I don't know. I mean, for me, mean, having just watched Man of Steel, this for me was such a big moment because
They're trolling us.
I
guys.
remember when that first trailer dropped, which I hadn't been privy to beforehand, and I just saw it with everyone else. And I remember exactly what I was going through in my life at the time. I remember where I was, remember who I watched it with, and then I watched it about 1,500 times after that. And that whole experience of shooting the movie was a life changer for me. The whole experience of the press tour, watching the movie, it was definitely a fulcrum point, which changed my life from what it was then to what people perceive now as, you know, being famous or whatever it is. And that was a massive shift for me. And I remember so much of it in very, very exacting detail and with all of the emotions in touch. I mean, I was going through a lot at the time as well, sort of aside from the work stuff. But it was for me a massive, massive journey. And I loved watching it. I still love watching that movie. And I will remember those days until the very end for me. It's been a long journey since. I do think it would be fun to perhaps have, you know, worked with a trilogy or a trilogy a bit differently. And I mean, I would love to see a version of Justice League without the mustache.
Would you be okay if you had, like, I don't know, like the
innovative
version of, you know, like from the Reign of Superman, where, you know, he rises up and has, you know, little long hair and also a full beard? Would you be okay?
Oh, so you're saying, like, you're asking for the mullet and the beard?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
mullet,
Well,
but little
listen, there's some hairstyles. There's some hairstyles that just don't age. Awesome. And I'm going to put that mullet in the category. I mean, look, for me, one of the things we wanted to do with Justice League was when he came back, he was, you know, iconic in some way. Iconic to the risen Superman, maybe minus the beard and the mullet, but with other aspects of that look that I feel like are super important. But yeah, you know, it was always my intention to, like, not, you know, I'd love to see that version of Superman without the mustache, or at least without whatever that implication of a mustache.
Yeah, without the mustache. It's the important thing.
Yeah, but I think seriously, like, to see, I mean, we were on this journey, and all these characters, I mean, it was this hero's journey for all these characters. And I think it's a shame that we never saw it come to fruition the way Zack intended it to be, you know.
Yeah.
To see them reach their journey to become, you know, the Justice League, the team that it would have been.
Listen, and look, it, like I told you, I have it. So it's just a question of, like, we got to find a way to show it someday.
Yes.
I reckon you should show it.
What's that?
I reckon you should show it.
What, you think I should just show it?
Yeah, I think
I
we
mean,
should.
I reckon
Well,
it too.
I mean,
No disagreement here.
I think that, I mean, I don't have, like, I can't show the movie right now, you know.
What's he
because
gonna
it's
show?
Still a little bit to do, but I mean, there is this.
Oh.
I have this. I don't know if this is helpful.
Oh,
See that?
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my
Wow.
god! Oh my god!
Is this
Sorry for
stereo?
Very nice.
Get the hell out of here! Oh my
2021.
god!
Oh my gosh.
So there's
Is
so
that-
that's coming.
That's a little thing there, you know.
It's a little thing. It's
a
not to
little
be
thing.
too what do you call it? You know.
Don't get too hyped up about it.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
I mean, the good news is
Go out.
there's one little piece of bad news, and that is that it, you know, it'll probably be in 21 the actual release because we got a little work to
I'm
do.
okay with that.
Forever
But
21.
we're doing it. So
Forever 21.
Woo!
get ready.
We have prep
Nice
time.
job, Danny. Nice
Ready
job,
to
Danny.
get mentally prepared.
Well, all right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so
Thanks for
much.
having us.
Henry,
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
go.
Thanks, Zach.
You wanted.
Yeah.
Love you, Henry. Digging the mustache, buddy.
all right.
I just woke up like this today. I don't know why. This is what
Oh,
happened.
yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
All right.
Real
Okay.
nice job. Thank you.
Woo!
Thank you.
Thank you,
Cheers,
guys.
guys.
Love
Thank
you
you very
guys.
much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
You take care.
Well, y'all have a good
Cheers.
day.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh my god.
That
I
is
can't believe
fucking
it.
unbelievable.
You see that picture?
I can't believe it.
I know. Who's that?
It's happening.
Oh my god.
Fucking we got in here. That is so
I'm in
fucking.
shock.
Yeah, this is fucking. They're losing their mind. Did he log off? Microphone is unmuted. I'm just no.
That's good. What does DJ say?
Okay, so that went well.
Yeah.
Are we still on live?
Oh yeah, we're gonna go straight to. Okay, I'm leaving.
2021, there you go. What more did you need? You had Zach, you had fucking Henry Cavill in here, you had the announcement that it's coming. It's coming on HBO Max. All you haters out there, you can suck it, that's what you can do. Now I'm going to go away, and Andy Signor. Let's get some party music up in here, right? You guys can stay if you like. Hey. Where's the music, damn it? Where is the music? Yeah, I know 2021 is a long way away, but... Chubby Teddy Redskin. Chubby Teddy? Are you serious, mate? It just got announced. Gia! Yeah. HBO Max 2021. Now I am uploading a video. I hope you guys go out and watch it. Actually, let me just turn the music back up. Click like because you know I'm right. Years. 2.5 years, guys. We fight for this. We fought 2.5 years for this. Didn't think they would be. I had a feeling that maybe Henry Cavill would be the surprise and that would be it. But thank you. That's okay, Daniel. We did it. I am about to put out a nice little video, a nice little fun video. I've been holding on to this for a long time, and I'm going to make it go live right... Wait a minute, what's this? None of the above. Yes, what the hell? Geeks and Lamers, where the ass. Looks like this video is taking quite a while to upload for some reason. Why is that? Crap, everyone's going nuts, that's why. Maybe I should... Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to end the live stream here. Guys, we did it! It's done! It's over! Go home!